Just uploaded a video. Live. Yes. We are live. So, Buster.
Yes, this is basic geometry. Your flat Earth geometry. Flat Earth geometry. This is basic geometry.
It is.
I called you a flat earther.
My name's Ramsey.
Insisting that your flat Earth geometry will work.
I'm familiar with the bubble, Morty. I also dabble in precision, and if you think you can even approach it with your sad naked caveman eyeball in a bubble of air, you're the reason this species is a failure, and it makes me angry.
Did he say a five-sided square question mark?
You're a universal horizontal waterer.
You're drunk.
I called you a flat earther.
You want to experience true level? Do you? Yes. You want to experience true level?
That auto level is establishing a horizontal. That's just the way it is.
Because I've done the test with an auto level, which gives you a horizontal.
Yeah, it's gonna look super flat.
All right, come on. Wow, it's so.
Three coplanar points.
Oh Christ! Yeah, true level, bitch.
I called you a flat earther.
If you're into math, there's a certain shape where you could make a five-sided square.
Are you suggesting that horizontal can't curve?
Oh, everything's crooked. Reality is poison. I want to go back. I hate this.
What's his deal?
Morty. Go to school, Summer. I'll go in Morty's memory and do a little.
Randy, come on, that's a globe. He eventually just gave up and said, yeah, I agree, it's a globe.
Geodesic is a continuous string of infinitely small, straight lines.
Yeah, true level, bitch.
It's really flat and level now.
Randy, come on, that's a globe.
Yeah, true level, bitch.
Randy, come on, that's a globe.
Lamps to the cosmic slaughter! Well, you seem to be in charge of what I get to remember. Why? Good question.
Randy, come on, that's a globe.
I'll go in Morty's memory and do a little. Wow, it's so. Oh my god! Oh Christ! Yeah, true level, bitch.
If you're into math, there's a certain shape where you could make a five-sided square.
Randy, come on, that's a globe.
Yeah, true level, bitch. Wow, it's so. Oh my god! Oh Christ! Yeah, true level, bitch.
I called you a flat earther.
True level, bitch.
I called you a flat earther.
True level, bitch.
I called you a flat earther.
Yeah, true level, bitch.
Person to think.
When you get to the end of this test and you have a result and you say level is horizontal and everyone says big whoop, that doesn't prove anything about the shape of the Earth, will you then say yes it does?
No.
No, okay, I'm going to bed. Right.
Okay, so you.
I'm going to bed.
That level is horizontal is good for you then, right?
I agree. I agree. Level's horizontal.
Sweet.
Right,
true level, bitch.
Perfect.
Wow.
Nice, mate. I came
Nice.
in just for that. You flipped it, man.
Yeah, true level, bitch.
And we Live. Yes. We are. I am, Anna. Yeah. All good. I don't know what happens with that. Stream goes a bit weird every now and again. You just have to reset the PC. Can't help it. What can you do? Hump Day. A bit unsure of what we're going to be doing on Hump Day. I was thinking this could be the day where we actually go searching for this elusive curvature. When I first came into it, one of my names was Curvature Hunter, and I mean it's been elusive for a long time. In fact, it's non-existent. We know that. Level is horizontal, but just recently we've had our mate Hoymar. I think they've had him over there at Nathan and QE have been having a go with Hoymar. Got a bit monotone and we had to kick him out for being a doxer, but you know, he got triggered, started doxing, he had to go. But he brought back the Jesse Kozlowski going over the bridge and the big 28.5 meter hump, which has been long elusive. In fact, that was the thing that brought us into this, brought me into it anyway. It was the very paradox of having the drop and then that turning into a hump, whilst all the time knowing that it's horizontal. It's perpendicular at the point. It's got to be something psychological going on in the minds of people that can curve water but know it's perpendicular and have such brains to know that perpendicular is a straight line, but then have it in it as a curved straight line, a bendy straight line. Fight the Flat Earth did the first one. Imagihump Day. Imagihump. We're looking for the Imagihump on Hump Day. Practical test. I mean, this was the first thing that we were asked to do, or asked myself to do, was to, how do you prove that level is horizontal? It seems a bit ridiculous. A task to be set. But there's a lot of people that state it just they can. And just recently, yeah, thanks SE, unclamping has just come a thing.
Shout out Blue.
Yeah. Shout out Blue and the Imagihump. The blue marble induced Imagihump only happens in your mind, and very rarely do people brave enough to try and depict it in reality, to express what happens in their minds. They have to be so free with the model and be so secure within their community, and that they know that this will never be challenged, at least within the community. Nowhere else is it ever pictured as an elevation profile, ever like that. I think it's amazing. There we go. Look at that. Google Earth line unclamped and showing drop from it. Is that the new one, SE? Is that the one that we haven't watched yet, that we might be going over tonight, or?
No, that's from the original one.
Right. Oh, well.
That's from the first video. That's the first instance of the unclamp the hump. Right there.
Well, we'll we are live. There you go. Stop that. Well, we can go over it in a bit. The real video. He's got a new video about that's all about this. The bridge at Lake Pontchartrain, 28.5 meter hump. Shortest distance from A to B, wherever the edge of the bridge is to the edge of the bridge, would be a straight line. And that straight line, according to a few people, goes underwater, 28.5 meters under the water.
Get out. Did he steal the underwater Rakia hotel?
Yeah.
From Oymar?
Yeah, he put the base of the hotel right under at the bottom of that. Yeah, underwater. I think we had somebody else telling us last night. Math. Right?
Matt had another... oh, yeah? Wow.
Fake flat earther. Math. He put that chord line under the water too.
Snorkel gear. Yeah.
It was done again. Somebody said it was done again on Jose's today. Yeah, I know. Jose had doing the I don't know, measuring. Was it measuring? I don't know. I didn't watch Jose's. Have we got anybody to confirm that? Has the hump been measured again on Jose's today? I'm hoping. I don't know. They might have took all of our viewers off us because they've already done it. People be going, oh, we're not going over that again. Jose's already done it.
Nobody could do it like George and Blue.
Yeah, well, I think they've been over there today on Jose's to go over the Imagihump.
Mm.
And I was going to go over our test and thought I could go over that, but I don't think anybody's bothered. Blue's done this unclamping of the hump, and I think most of the people that watch only watch for the globe side, and they're not really going to get the proof that level is horizontal and that there is no hump from this side. They're not going to understand how the geometry and the logic go together to prove that all of this is ridiculous, because they've now got, I think that they're on it. They have to be, don't they? This hump, this never before produced hump elevation profile is what I can't get over. Everyone who's ever built plans and bridges and elevation drawings, architects using CAD programs, all of that, they never thought of doing this. At no point has anyone ever imagined that this would be a thing.
Yeah, but they don't have the intelligence of Blue.
Yeah, it needs to be reclamped. But I mean, if you want to see how ridiculous this is, then yeah, this chord line here, the elevation, the difference between them, either at the end there or at the end there or in the middle there, they're all vertical distances, except these ones at either side are only like we call it geometrical vertical.
Well, I hope in the new video he's more specific on what he unclamped, because I think he said originally that he unclamped the ground and the water. But then I think he backtracked on that. So Blue, if you're listening, what did you unclamp exactly?
Well, we'll go over the video. I'll queue it up. I'll have to just get it ready. Oh, Balanced Truth was saying in the chat that they presented a flat Earth model. Flat Earth modelling over there again on Jose's. That's nice of them, isn't it? Did they, at any time, did they bother to present reality? Or just the two models?
I bet it looked like a pizza.
Well, let me just see whether I can sort this out. It says I've got a poor connection. I just need to try and sort this. There you go. If Emma's listening, do you want to try that? It may have worked because we were live. You have to do it while you're live, I think, perhaps. That may have sorted that problem that we had. The other one was... I had a blue one, didn't I? I think this is it. And... oh yeah, that's come up on the... may stop trolls. Now, you guys, can you see that screen there? Get that there. And oh, my PC is still acting a little bit slow. Right, can you guys see that? On YouTube and in the Discord. Any confirmation on the Discord? If not, I'll just go with it. You guys can see that. Right, now this is Blue Marble Science doing Google Earth Revisited. He has a picture of me on the front of it, so I presume it's got something to do with me in the video. That's why we're going over it, but it is also Hump Day, so how we can use that tool to visualize drop from horizontal. Well, I know what drop from horizontal is. That's an elevation change. So we will go ahead with it.
Started trying to say Google Earth is a flat Earth model.
I don't know.
Google Earth Revisited.
Can you hear that?
This is a video I did about 2.5 years ago when Nathan Oakley and Quantum Eraser first started trying to say Google Earth is a flat Earth model. It was so stupid, I just couldn't resist. And this is what resulted.
So it's a video from 2 years ago. Why has he got me on it? Is that just so he can get us to go over it? Is that what I think he might want us to go over it? Or I might be becoming one of Blue's mottos. And you know what? They've took the staff out of my hand, haven't they? So I don't know.
That's not good.
Nah.
That's not good.
Okay, so yeah, it's a video that Blue's gone 2 years ago. So he's recycling old videos. I can do that.
But I thought it was worthwhile to go back through it again because lately we've got a few knuckleheads that seem to think I just thought of this the other day. This is from 2.5 years ago, mind you. Hello everybody, welcome to Blue Marble Science. This is Jerk Alert Part 3, or Where's the Curve? Hey, there it is. There it is right there. Quantum Eraser continues to outdo himself with his Google Earth-based flat Earth model. Unfortunately, the poor simpleton has neglected to understand one key feature of that software.
Uh-oh.
Now, warning. The following video contains full frontal stupidity, so you might want to get those oven mitts. This time, I recommend a seatbelt so you don't fall off your chair. And with that, hey Gladys, let's light this dumpster fire and give old Quantum Eraser a dose of his own medicine. Well, I suppose we have no choice but to listen to some of Quantum Eraser's derpa derpa. So I guess we may as well get started, and I'll try.
Wow, these were good videos back then. Wow. I never got a chance to watch any of Blue's videos from back then. I've missed out. I've been missing out. These are riveting.
Is he trying to say that he unclamped the hump back then?
Yeah, unclamping, I think.
I want to hear those words, Blue.
Let's see it.
I'll break it up as best I can so it doesn't get too completely crazy.
You know, it's called vertical drop. You guys remember this from 2015? This is the quintessential.
I had a problem when I saw this. When we were at 24/7, I had a problem with it. It's one of the most annoying pictures I've ever seen. I don't know who gave this to anybody.
Tenet of your spinning ball religion. You gotta have drop. Every point from a tangent from your feet drops. That is vertically drops away from you at 8 inches per mile squared. Did you guys forget about this? I mean, come on. You see this tangent line? You see this drop? Right? I can't believe you forgot about this. This is like a hockey player forgetting what ice is, or John Wayne forgetting what a horse is.
Look there.
I mean, come on, people. So, the flat Earth model predictions, right? That's what we need. We need to test this, correct? Number one, since the Earth is flat, we would expect to measure no vertical drop, i.e. flat or level, between 2 points, separated by 500 miles. Number two, since the Earth is flat, we would expect to measure no vertical drop, i.e. flat or level, between 2 points separated by 1,000 miles. It's just that simple. We are going to test this model. So, without further ado, on behalf of the Supreme Council and my highly esteemed and distinguished colleague who has been knighted, Sir Nathan Oakley, it is my honor and privilege to present the only model of the Earth that has seen the light of day over the past 4 years. Here it is.
You really don't want to do this, nitwit. You're going to regret it.
Brought to you by our Flat Earth friends over at Google Earth. Hashtag same team. They seem to have hidden it in plain sight. So I didn't bring you here for us to gawk at this. Remember, we have 2 predictions to test. Right? One at 500 miles and one at 1,000 miles. So let's take the 500 mile.
So let's take a look here. So everything's in plain sight. We're going to take an elevation of point D. And what do we got? We have 4 feet. So let's wing on over to Sicily. What do we have for an elevation in Sicily? Well, we have 4 feet.
Now remember the definitions that I told you. Level, not rising or falling or higher on one side. Horizontal or flat. So this meets the definition. Right? Let's take a wider view. We'll get an elevation profile.
Yeah, this is just an elevation profile.
So,
see this? Here we
from the
go. This
shore
is
of
what
Sicily,
elevation profiles look
for
like.
500 miles, as you can see, we have a 0.00 vertical drop.
Well, let's have another look at that. This is Google Earth, and that, of course, is Antarctica. I don't think you really meant for that to be on your flat Earth model. Maybe you can correct that in the future version. Let's go to your 500-mile observation. From Libya over to Sicily, and there's your line.
There we go.
Right there. And
we're unclamping.
We'll show the profile just like you did. And sure enough, you'll see sea level all the way across. But you know, there's a reason why you see sea level all the way across there at the same elevation. And it's because, let me open up properties here. The properties of that line. You'll notice there's a thing that says altitude. When I open that up, you have a little pull down here. And what it's set for right now is clamped to the ground.
No way.
I know how you like definitions. So let's get up the definition of
It's going with a clamp. Very good.
Clamped. Past tense. Fasten something in place with a clamp. Synonyms: fasten, secure, fix, clip, attach. Fasten 2 things firmly together.
Afternoon.
Hold something
Hey, Rob.
tightly against or
This is a good video.
Thing. Clamp.
I'll go back on mute.
Tell us what you
What
unclamp.
happens
Come on.
if we change clamped to the ground to relative to the ground?
Oh, relative to the ground.
So it's the ground. See?
What
Well,
ground?
let's see. We have
Water.
an elevation of nothing right now. Let's increase our elevation and see what happens.
What?
I see the line growing, Kiwi. And watch. There you go.
What?
If we were, I don't know, what is that? 100,000 meters up in the air, 300,000 feet. That's what it would look like. That is actually a nice straight line. You notice the arrow goes from the end, climbs up here in the center, drops down at the other end.
Still a straight line, isn't it?
It's not.
300,000 feet, did he say?
All right.
Do you want to hear that again? Like, I don't know. Like, did he just lift it up and say it's a straight line up in the air?
Yeah, 300,000 feet. I could have been hearing things.
It was a straight line down at the bottom, and he's just lifted it up.
Yeah.
It's just,
But that was the ground he unclamped, if I understood correctly.
I don't know. Here we go.
It looks like he just
God.
Looks like he just unclamped the red line from the surface and raised the elevation of that red line
which
I
is a
think
straight
so.
line, and then showed that it's still straight.
Higher up.
But higher up.
Yeah, I'll listen to it again. Like, let's give him his due. It needs listening to twice.
It's got to be something better than that, right? Yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, what happens if we change clamped to the ground to relative to the ground? Uh-oh. Where did the line go? Well, let's see. We have an elevation of nothing right now. Let's increase our elevation and see what happens. I see the line growing, Kiwi. And watch. There you go. If we were, I don't know, what is that? 100,000 meters up in the air, 300,000 feet. That's what it would look like. That is actually a nice straight line. You notice the arrow goes from the end, climbs up here in the center, drops down at the other end. It's following the ground. All right. So let's.
Like, did he just call it a straight line, didn't he? I know that's actually
get better.
A straight line. He's just lifted the line up.
Yeah, maybe he's going somewhere with it.
Yeah, okay. We'll let that one go. There's something to it.
Let's put that thing back to clamped to the ground, the way we had it to start with. And let's turn on something else. I did another 500-mile path here. This is actually a path. And now if we go in there and have a look, you want to know where the drop is? It's right there.
Where?
Right there. Let's look at the other end of it. Same thing. The drop is right there.
There's that rise at both ends again.
Is it dropping in the middle, or is it? Well, like what? What?
Now, this is not an Earth curve calculator. This is Google Earth.
Yeah, it's a half pike.
If we wanted to know what that drop should be, let me put this back to units of
advanced curve calculator.
miles.
1, 2, 3, 4. It's got 4 advanced curve calculator tabs open there.
Bulge height.
Keen on that, isn't he?
Would be measuring there in this from the center is 13,057
What did you say, bulge?
meters.
The bulge height?
Units of feet and miles over a distance of 507 miles, and that's what that line is. The bulge height.
Yeah,
and that's
bulge
what
height.
we would be measuring there in this.
Yep.
In other words, hump
is 13,057 meters.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So what do we have our
bulge height? It says it here.
Model set for? Let's check. Properties. Altitude 13,000.
13,000 feet.
Now, according to Google Earth, that's actually a little bit
13,000
high.
meters.
There could be a lot of reasons for that. This thing is not specifically designed to be an Earth curve calculator. We get over here in the middle, though, and it's pretty close to the ocean.
What?
Not too far off. Don't have a real good way of measuring that, but
really
can't measure it.
A good way to...
You've not got a clue.
Yeah, fairly close. I've got a closer one I'll show you later.
In fact,
Close enough.
508 miles.
What? So what was that then? Did that drop in the middle? What was that thing that he had in the middle there? It was dead straight across the bottom, but then he put a thing up it that had like slopes on the side of it. There, look. Right, now that looks like more. The structure is the red lines, right? Red line that's straight, and a red line perpendicular to it. I'm taking it at both ends. See, it's got a red line on the top there and not on the other end. There's no red line on the top there. And there is in the middle.
Yeah, where does the red line switch over?
Wait, yeah, why is it on the top and the bottom? Why is it not on the bottom there, but it's on the top there? I don't get what is this structure? Where did it come from? The altitude there is 13,000 meters. What reference is that? Where did that come from? Absolute he's got here 13,000 meters. Where? I don't get it. Is that meant to have proved something? I don't know. We'll give him a chance. He's halfway through the video.
7 meters. Now, according to Google Earth, that's actually a little bit high, and there can be a lot of reasons for that. This thing is not...
He said according to Google Earth, that's probably a little bit higher. 13,000 meters.
Specifically designed to be an Earth curve calculator. We get over here in the middle, though, and it's pretty close to the ocean.
It's pretty close.
Not too far off.
Wait a minute. He's saying that Google Earth isn't a very good Earth curve calculator. I thought
that's what he says. Yeah.
I thought Google Earth. I thought he's saying that Google Earth is like, that's accurate, elevation data, per GPS and all this other stuff. So how is it not the perfect?
Yeah, he's unclamping things and measuring stuff. I mean, unless he gets his numbers from the Earth curve calculator to plug into Google to tell him where to unclamp his lines to make it look like something's going on. But he's only putting straight lines. I mean, I don't know, what is this structure? I mean, where would it ever get used? In some sort of surveying? I don't...
The line that he unclamps, it's just a line? I mean, that's ridiculous. What is it supposed to represent, Blue? The Earth, right? The surface of the Earth and the water?
He's got it here, though. He's got it altitude at 13,000 meters.
You unclamp something. What are you unclamping, and what are you rising?
You put in a line 13,000 meters. I'm taking it. That's there is at 13,000 meters. For some reason. I mean, that's some big structures you're building at either end. I don't know.
Yeah, but that line, let's keep in mind, if it was clamped to their spherical fantasy Earth, that line must have been curved, right? Has to have been, right?
I don't know. Is he? Can't understand whether he's unclamping each end of the line and letting it spring up like a tangent, or is he unclamping the center and that's sort of lifting the line up all as one?
This is satellite dish Earth.
I'm unaware. Like I say, if this is 2 years old and I've never heard of it before, nobody could have ever took it up as a serious thing. I hope they're getting into it now, Blue. I mean, this is the new elevation profiles, unclamped Googleistic.
According to Google Earth, that's actually a little bit high, and there can be a lot of reasons for that. This thing is not
lines of variable potential. I think it, but That's what Blue's calling them.
Earth curve calculator. We get over here in the middle though, and it's pretty close to the ocean.
It's not too far off.
Don't have a real good way of measuring.
Building walls in the middle of the ocean.
Maybe a few thousand feet, but yeah,
maybe a few thousand feet.
Fact,
what?
Wow.
Why is he
validating the first prediction of our flat Earth model?
Well, actually, it didn't, because you screwed
trying to show drop
the thing to the damn ground, and I got a feeling you're about to do it again.
Whoa! You're revealing one of the extra technological advancements in this model there.
Oh, I did. Sorry about that. That's right. I revealed it.
We'll cover that later.
Now, since we've already validated the first prediction of our model, let's swing on over to the Gulf of Mexico for our 1,000-mile measurement.
Whoa.
Yeah, it just happens that way. That's just little added feature.
Yep, we'll cover these advanced features.
So, at point A, this is southern Texas.
Advanced features.
So nothing is hidden.
Google it.
Point A. Let's get an elevation here. I got 3 feet. Let's wing on over to southern Florida. See what Pet Detective's up to. Point B in southern Florida, we have an elevation of 3 feet. That matches our level and flat definition, not rising or falling or higher on one side, horizontal or flat. Go for a wider view. Get an elevation profile.
Mouse, just wave your mouse so people can see what I'm talking about, John. There we go. It's referencing a flat surface. Now, one of the advanced services that's offered is that you can make a direct comparison between these two. So I don't know if you can just roll your line so that it's at the
bulge.
top. John, leaving the elevation profile on. If you can move the animation so that the line you've drawn is at the top
hump
of the
or drop.
picture.
What are we going with?
Google Earth with the down key.
I see what you want. Okay. Yeah.
Other way.
Let's go to the other one.
There we go. Stop. That'll do. So you can see the comparison between the graphic, which is what the fundamentalist religious zealots believe they live on, versus the actual reference in the elevation profile at the bottom. Very useful tool to show what they think they have versus what's actually being measured and demonstrated and what it's referencing. Flat. A useful tool, but sorry to interrupt. Saves me doing it.
No, that's okay. So, from the southern point in Texas, we're moving 1,000 miles. And as you can see on our trip, we have a 0.00 vertical drop. Each are 3 feet elevation. This matches our predictions for our flat Earth model, validating the model. It's just as simple as that.
Well, let's just have a look over in Texas and see if we find the same thing. And I'm pretty sure we will. So the same measurement that Quantum Racing made from southern Texas over to southern Florida. Once again, if we open this thing up, we will find that in fact it's clamped to the ground. Of course it's going to say it's the same elevation all the way across. What else could it possibly say? But we've got one of these things again, and now it looks even more dramatic because you're covering more distance. You can clearly see the drop.
Told you, it wants to show drop. There it is.
Right. So it's just in between, the bit in the middle, the hump.
The hump is it, yeah.
It's not a drop, it's a hump.
It's both. It's a double drop hump.
Well, only from the centre.
But
Yeah.
While we're at it, I thought maybe I would do just one more.
Yeah, he's very brave. I mean, imagine everybody that's been doing the clamped elevation profiles for centuries. Whoa, what the fuck's that?
How about that?
What?
How do you like them apples?
Holy shit.
Look at
right on the equator. I've gone from
we got
prime
devil
meridian
horns.
What's he doing?
I was gonna say, where are the
around
whiskers?
to 90
What?
degrees west.
Cat
over
ears.
here.
Look at that.
I knew this was going to be a doozy, but not this good.
Wait a minute. Now, he's not going to say that's vertical and that's vertical, is he? Because, I mean, it looks like a horizontal plane to me, but not too sure.
Two devil horns.
That's fantastic. Look at that.
The same thing, and right now that's
magnificent.
an altitude. Let me see, of 2,641,900 meters.
2 million?
2,641,900 meters. For some reason. Look at it. Look
Holy
at
free, holy
that.
Batman.
That's amazing.
Where would that number come from? Well, I thought I would make a little drawing here on AutoCAD.
Oh man, look at this. There's the drop and the hump. Look at it.
Yeah.
Kid. And the circle you see has a radius of 6,378 meters. That's the radius. I've drawn a 0 degree line for the prime meridian, a 90 degree line vertically there.
Vertically.
And you can see on the right hand side 2,641,900 meters.
No.
That is that elevation to a line that is tangent to the surface of the Earth.
2,641.9.
Now, how does that compare with, well, let's say, a curve calculator?
What?
Well, here we go. That distance is a quarter of the circumference of the Earth. So you have to take 6,378,000, whatever number I had.
Yeah.
Times 2 times 5,
of it.
and then divide by 4. And you'll end up with 10,007,500 meters. If we did that in miles, it's 6,218.4 miles. That's a fourth of the circumference of the Earth at the equator. Okay.
What?
Based on that, the bulge height predicted by the Earth curve calculator is 1,000,000.
No way.
866,000.
The model calculator numbers fit the model.
That compares to 1,000,000.
We got a bulge height.
No way.
68,000.
No way.
Imagine
The
that.
model numbers fit the model?
Yeah.
Slightly different.
Oh.
But it's slightly different because
Pack it up.
the radius I used is a little bit.
Yeah, look, see, can you see this as well? He's
The
got
radius I used was the radius that the model is, so therefore when I put the radius in there, it matched the model.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Good job, Blue. Oh my god.
And what he's got here as well, as he's done his maths, stolen concept, but, you know, never mind. He's got a chord, and then he's got a tangent, and the chord and the tangent are obviously parallel. Have to be. And he's got a distance between the two, like it'd be a vertical distance, I would say, or just a distance of the radius. I think what was that other one called? I had the name of that. It'll come to me. I put it in the thing yesterday for some reason. And then he's got a different distance here because this is an extension of the radius here, whereas this is a distance of, you know, this distance between the two along. It's an internal, and that's an external. Parallel lines, though.
Yes, or a little bit more, I'm sorry, than the radius used in the Earth curve calculator.
Yeah.
All right, so back to Google
The Earth curve calculator numbers for the model match the numbers for the model that he has, strangely enough.
Get out.
And when he did when he drew a circle and plugged the same numbers in, they matched it again. The way all of these numbers all match up, the models work.
It's like magic.
It's amazing. Has to be. It has to be.
And again, the altitude is not the vertical distance. It is actually the vertical distance.
It is actually
2,641,900 according to the AutoCAD drawing.
That's not vertical. It's just an extension of a radius.
641,900 is what I put in.
That doesn't look vertical there, does it?
Zoom in here in the center.
That's their both ways.
That's not
horizontal could be a vertical.
Blue. Come on. Is he looking at it? He's looking at his vertical height as though it's a horizontal or just a bit off horizontal.
Cancel that.
His vertical's nearly horizontal. I mean, give him allowance. You wouldn't be able to see it if he had it fully horizontal. Oh, look. what happened there?
To virtually zero.
It's got a twist in it.
And if we keep going on down, there it comes back.
Look, it's coming back.
I think the geoid implication.
You want to go that back there?
Right in there somewhere.
Right.
You can see the.
Oh, you can see the side of it. I don't know what this is. It's
one
one of them glitches.
I didn't want to add.
Watch. It's going to move along. Look at that.
There you go.
What's happened there?
That's a tsunami.
Yeah, that's just an equipotential angle of adjustment on the freestyle. You know, like oof, mid-picture. Don't worry about it. It's just something Google does. Always in the water, right? These, I don't know if anybody's ever messed with Google. This sort of weird stuff happens. You can't really. It's not safe to do that sort of stuff over water, is it?
Might be the equator. It might be the equator. Is it 21 kilometers?
I don't know. The bulge.
Maybe.
Maybe a little water just moving
the other
around.
bulge.
Yeah.
The other bulge,
Yeah,
not
the
the
other-
hump bulge, but the other bulge. the pudgy bulge.
Disappears.
Zero.
Virtually zero.
And if we keep going on down, there it comes back again.
There it comes back.
I think the geoid implication does have some massive effects on even their wiffle waffle argument. It takes that apart. So it's
What's a geoid?
the flattened ball.
That's a hypothetical shape of the Earth, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. But in doing so, what I mean is, to me, that it kind of that point you make there, which is unusual for you, to beg the question for them, that if it was that squashy ball, that would be the secondary implication that the sea level is no longer the same distance based on the distance to the center of the Earth.
I just pulled up the definition for geoid. It has the hypothetical shape of the Earth. I can stop right here. Not playing anymore.
Yeah.
Well, express why. Explain the begging the question part of it. Got your
Me or John?
I've got your no, John, please. I've got your screen presented, John.
Say again?
Can you explain why? You don't have to go any further. Just explain. It's begging the question.
No, it's a hypothetical shape. It's not in reality. A hypothetical deals with it right there. I don't have to concern myself.
And it's hard for me to believe these guys are serious. I still think there's a good chance they're just playing silly games. I mean, you start out by clamping the ruler to the ground and then wondering why it's following the ground. And now you turn around and say you don't know what a geoid is. Really? Kiwi? Are you really that stupid? I don't think so. But just in case you are, your dictionary definition.
Wow, wait a minute. So the ruler is clamped to the ground. And then you release the ruler. But I mean, the ground's still down where the ground is, right?
That's a magic word for saying you're releasing the ground.
But the ground's already there, right? If you've got a ruler clamped to the ground and you release the ruler, then what does that have to do with the ground? The ground's still there. It doesn't move.
Yeah. And what shape was the ruler when it was clamped? You have to ask that question as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definition might have said the geoid is hypothetical, but I'll tell you what isn't. WGS84 isn't hypothetical, and that's what Google Earth is based on.
WGS84 is based on the hypothetical ellipsoid reference model. Come on, Blue. Jeez.
It's got at the bottom here as well. Z-axis is the direction of the reference pole. X-axis is the intersection of the reference meridian and the plane passing through the origin and the normal to the Z-axis.
I mean, he literally just said that WGS84 is not based on a hypothetical reference model, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's completely false. It absolutely is. Like, I don't know. Did he not look it up?
A three-dimensional reference frame. Earth-fixed terrestrial reference system and geodetic datum. WGS is based on the consistent set of constants and model parameters that describe the Earth's size, shape, and gravity, and geomagnetic fields. WGS is under the definition of global reference for geospatial information, is the reference system for global positioning system, GPS, and is compatible with the International Terrestrial Reference System. Earth's centre of mass being defined for the whole Earth, including the oceans and the atmosphere.
It's agreed on. It's not measured. It's an agreed fixed location.
Yeah, well, the
it means nothing.
Is the direction of the reference pole. The direction corresponds to the direction of the conventional terrestrial pole. X-axis is the intersection reference meridian and the plane passing through the origin and normal to the Z-axis. Well, Z-axis, the normal to that, right, perpendicular to it. They're your two axis, and then Y, it's got a right-handed, earth-centered, earth-fixed, orthogonal coordinate system. They're your X, Y, Z coordinates. It says the X-axis has a 0 meridian with an uncertainty of 0.005 seconds. Let's go back. Let's see what Blue says about it again.
The ground, and then wondering why it's following the ground. And now you turn around and say you don't know what a geoid is. Really? Huey, are you really that stupid? I don't think so. But just in case you are, your dictionary definition might have said the geoid is hypothetical, but I'll tell you what isn't. WGS 84 isn't hypothetical, and that's what Google Earth is based on. You might want to look into that. I believe we've adequately debunked this. And again, I'm skeptical as to whether or not these guys are even serious. But one thing I'm not unsure about, Quantum Eraser, you are absolutely a jerk. And to use your words, a pretender clown. Hey, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it again.
Okay, thanks for watching, Blue. And I thought I'd go over some of the comments for this as well. There's a lot of love for QE in the chat. See, Doofus is obsessed with me again. I can't. Does anybody know why I was on the thumbnail for that? It's really weird, Blue. Didn't really have much to do with me, unless you're getting a few sales on you. I don't know. I'd be thinking that you can link me to anything to do with that. Gave us a chance to go over it though and see how old the unclamping was. I still don't understand what the unclamping did. I think there was a clip in here. Right, yeah, this is the one that I seen here. Reno Gronson. May have just butchered his name. This one struck out to me. It says, there is no drop from the tangent plane. It is a rise to the tangent plane. It is the hidden height on the other side of the horizon and the height where we can see to the tangent point or the horizon. The height is measured from the level curve straight up to the plane instead of from the flat plane perpendicular down to the curve. Does anyone get that? Do you want me to do that again? This is just for the Globers. I mean, if you like us for the normal people, I mean, he's trying to give advice to the Globers, right? Again, there is no drop from the tangent plane. It is a rise to the tangent plane. It is the hidden height on the other side of the horizon and the height where we can see to the tangent point or the horizon, brackets. The height is measured from the level curve straight up to the plane instead of from the flat plane perpendicular down to the curve. Just in case you were unsure. I mean, that's one hell of a method, that, isn't it? Is the reply. Flat Earth Mass says, it's interesting that she'll make a distinction perpendicular to the projected level for drop versus perpendicular to the curved surface rise, because it is a fun geometric problem to work the numbers both ways. Wow. Before I heard anyone else reveal the secret, I spent way too long trying to reverse engineer 8 inches per mile squared, and I covered those options. The method of measuring distance is also different, so I combined all the methods for 4 different ways and tried to make sense of the algebra, and nothing cancelled out, leaving me with a big mess instead of an elegant formula. There's a surprise. Trying to figure in a quadratic formula into reality must be a killer. Then I discovered for myself, although in other circles it was commonly known, the secret, if you measure the distance as the chord length, then the drop of 8 inches per mile squared works perfectly out to a quarter planet. I was so proud of myself when I figured that out. Geometry. Let's use Euclidean geometry and then it'll work fine if you use the chords, the straight lines. You can't figure that quadratic into reality, so just use the straight lines and it works. Poor confused people that are confused even more by blue. Unclamping lines. Oh, that was it. Oh, look, a tangent to a sphere that one could trivially measure an angle to. Oops, did I say out loud? I'm probably banned somewhere. Like, where are the straight lines? Where's the curve? It's got a lot of comments. You're doing well, Blue. I like that. You've definitely got a lot of support. I don't think it's helping people. This. Putting it out there that there's some sort of curves and unclamping lines. And how many discussions do you think anybody will ever be able to go into with any of these things? I don't think it helps out with people. Thanks anyway, Blue. Oh, right, I'll switch this off. Let's take the screen off for a bit. Right, back in the Discord. Hump day, obviously, there is no hump. There's no logical framework to put that hump in. We've been discussing it today. With what we were going over last night and the diletheism and the way that you can inject contradictions into logic and you can build new frameworks of logic around these inconsistencies or these contradictions. What you can't do is you can't put that into the logical framework of geometry with Euclidean geometry. It's not allowed. And there's no way you can put this, express it like math just said in the thing. The curve isn't really there. It's just a series of points at the end of a radius for the circle. That you can use those points, but it will be to draw a straight line to another point. And in reality, those points will be on the horizontal. And you know the difference between horizontal and vertical is perpendicular. That goes into measurements that I know of. In reality, now I've seen the consequences of this when people are told that there is a curve, but there's literally no way to measure or anything. You just have to go along with the fact that level is horizontal. In reality, there's no other way to have it. Now, it shouldn't threaten people's models because this is a fact of reality. The fact of reality is that you can't measure a horizontal plane not being horizontal. It's just not possible. And the very fact that you can put into a plan a horizontal plane and an elevation profile that has a dead straight line. When if you're building an elevation profile for a canal system, the only elevation changes will ever happen within the lock systems at the end of each stretch of canal, where the elevation change is needed to move the boats up onto the other plane of water for them to be traveling along. And those elevation profiles only ever have straight lines. You cannot unclamp a canal on Google or in reality, especially in reality. And I think that's all we're trying to say here, is the simplicity of it all. QE and Nathan were saying it. Just put 2 points on it and do an elevation profile. The elevation, even Google doesn't want to give you an elevation profile with a curve on it because it'd look ridiculous. It's not true. It never is. Never can be true. Because the water can't sustain itself laterally. It's just not possible. The surface of the water is a zero pressure state all the way along it, and that is a horizontal plane. And you can unclamp Google as much as you want. You cannot unclamp reality. How about that, Essie? You can't unclamp reality. Blue.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Where's the clamping of reality? Because that's all we've ever been coming at from.
Reality is the clamp.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never unclamp the logos.
Yeah.
I have a meme.
And how would you unclamp it in the middle of the water? I mean, it's ridiculous to think that you've got a drop from center as well, always in the center. Rumpus is in. It is Wednesday. It's half
Here
past
we
9.
go.
I need to make a brew. Do we, are we going to let him have a go? Do you reckon he could have a go at telling us what we don't understand about unclamping lines? The wisdom
Unclamp the
and
rumpus.
the knowledge of... do you reckon Rumpus has ever unclamped Bedford?
I reckon he's an expert.
There we go. I'm going to... I'll unserve and mute him. But he's probably going to stay deafened and then disappear. I'm going to have to nip and make a brew.
Unclamp the rumpus.
So can you take over for a bit, you guys? See if you can beckon him in.
Come on, rumpus. Tell us your knowledge on this unclamping. I'm still deafened.
He'll be listening in on the YouTube. Because it is it's Hump Day, but we also accept the nutsack drop. Because that's what Rumpus is going for, if he wants to.
What I want to know is, what are they unclamping? I want Blue to give his more clear statement. What gets unclamped?
And whereabouts get...
Yes, we can.
Bedford. Oh.
No, I can hear you fine, Rumpus.
Yeah, I'll just turn you up a bit. A minute. The cat doesn't want to let me turn you up.
Can YouTube hear the Rumpus? I think they can, Rumpus.
Go on, talk. Come on, Rumpus.
I'm checking.
Oh, there you go.
Test.
The cat didn't want you to be heard, Rumpus.
Testing.
Testing Rumpus Unclamped, part 1.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3.
Come on, Rumpus.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I'll just check that. Yes, but it's no good if no.
It's no good if no one can hear
I
you.
see. I was on. You see,
Yeah,
they see. I was
so
on 0%.
phony,
You see, he
Yeah.
had me on
When-
0%.
Rumpus, when
for
are you
SE.
going to do your own
see?
live streams and put your videos out?
You see, he had me on 0%. SE. What was
When
that?
are you, Rumpus? When are you going to do your own live streams? Put your own videos out.
Yeah, I must admit, I've been a bit lax. I've been a bit distracted with a bit of life, unfortunately. So yes, I must admit, you can hold. That's one thing I am guilty of not doing, sorting that out. But it will happen. I'm hoping within a week I will have several videos, and hopefully I'll get SE Montreal and anybody else is interested into a hangout where I can explain without interruption about humps and tangents and clamping, because I know I won't be able to do it here because you won't let me put a diagram up, you won't let me speak uninterrupted, so it's very difficult to actually explain anything here.
You do well, Rumpus, until you start swearing, and I keep telling you, but you don't listen.
No, Montreal, actually, you've been quite reasonable. Actually, I must admit, you've over the last 6 months, you've actually behaved. I mean, to me, anyway. Other people have said I don't know what I'm talking about, and saying that you've improved your behaviour. But yes, you have been very reasonable to me. But when Bev overtalks me, well, when Bev turns me down and then overtalks me about 3 words into a sentence, it does get quite annoying. So, and if I did that to you, for instance, if you come on to a hangout on mine, I will guarantee to you that I will let you make every point you want for as long as you like. Well, as long as you think of half an hour or something monologue. But I would not attempt to stop you saying what you wanted to say. But Bev always tries to stop me saying what I want to say.
You know what would be interesting, Rumpus? You know what would be interesting? You have a hangout, Bev comes on, and you control the situation. How about that? Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, I mean, I'd even be happy for you to have, if you're on mine, having a moderator to make sure that I didn't prevent you from, being overtalked or not being able to make the points you wanted to make. I'm more than happy to have an independent arbiter to make sure you were treated well, or anybody else for that matter. But the one thing I can't tolerate is being 3 words into a sentence and then having been overtalked as I've got into my 4th word. Anyway, you were asking about clamping or something.
Yeah, the unclamping. Yeah.
Right. Do you want to know what that is?
Yeah.
Right.
What gets unclamped?
Right. Well, there are several ways of following a line when you're on Google Earth. You can either follow the ground, or you can follow a certain height above the ground, or you can have it relative to a tangent to the ground, i.e. horizontal. And when you put the unclamped thing on that Blue's got, that puts it as a tangent to your point. So that then becomes a horizontal plane. So that's what unclamping does. It means it does not try and follow the ground level, or I can't remember the other options now, whether it's ground or yes, it can follow the topography. It can follow in other words, a level. So it can do several things, but the particular one with the unclamp means it doesn't try and follow the ground at all. It follows a tangent, a horizontal plane from that point. That's what unclamping does.
What follows? The line? Just a line? I'm trying to understand what...
Okay. Well, okay, let me show you a diagram. I know Bev won't show this, but I'll see if I can explain it with a diagram, as I'm not obviously being clear enough with my explanation. So... where's my rect presentation? So I got it here. So if you can see this SE, no doubt this won't be shared by Bev, but anyway, I'll explain it to you or anybody else who. Am I sharing? Yeah, I think I'm sharing. So can you see this
SE?
Yeah, I can see it.
Right, so this is a cross-section through the Earth. And so when you have it unclamped, let's zoom into this bit here. So when you have it unclamped, all that's happening is that the line that's following is a horizontal plane from the point. So if you start off at this point, if you can see my pointer, then it says, right, okay, that's the point I want you to be unclamped from. So in Google Earth, it will then say, right, the line it's going to follow is then going to be a tangent to the globe. So that's all that unclamping does. And instead of trying to follow a level, in other words, trying to follow the curve of the Earth, it just simply follows a tangent, a horizontal. That's what the green thing, that green line there is a horizontal. That's all the unclamping does.
Question: that before the unclamping, that line was on the circle there.
Yeah, the blue line. In other words, if it's clamped, it's following the blue line here. It'll follow the blue line. If it's unclamped, it'll follow the green line.
So it's just a theoretical line, a measurement that gets unclamped.
Well, no, it's not theoretical. It's actual.
So you mean the actual surface gets unclamped?
No. The measurement. The surface obviously doesn't change, but look, if you wanted to measure the distance between A and B, so imagine if I wanted to measure. Let me draw in imagine there was a mountain in the way, for instance. I have to get inside this diagram a little bit to add something to it. So,
do we have to imagine there's a mountain in the way? Is that so?
Yes, because I'm about to explain to you what the options are. Right. So imagine there's a big mountain here. Mm-hmm. Right. Now, when Google Earth says, what distance do you want to measure? So it can either just say ignore the mountain and say, so let's have 2 points. Let's have a point here. Let's make this point A here. And make this point here B. Can't see that terribly well. I'm sorry about that. There we go. There's point B and point A. So we're trying to measure the distance between point A and point B. There are several ways of doing this. So you could say, I want to know what it's like going up the mountain, down the mountain to get from A to B. That's one measurement. That's one of the clamped options. Another one of the clamped options is simply to follow the curve of the Earth, ignoring the mountain. That's another option. There's another option, the unclamped thing. So if I then get this thing, it will then say, right, what would be the distance along the horizontal plane to point A? So you then have to determine where point is A from this. Let me draw that in there. Damn it. Didn't mean to do that. So then this point. God damn you. So that distance there, I'll put it in red or pink or something. Right, so that distance then. So it then follows, do you want to know the distance along the horizontal plane from point A to point B? So there are at least 3 ways I've described. There's a 4th one. I think one's at a particular height is the other option in Google Earth. So there are 3 or 4.
Just a question before you go on.
Go ahead.
You unclamp the line, right? Now you have the pink arrow there, right? Is that a
drop
vertical elevation? Is that a vertical?
Yes, because everything at the constant elevation is along the blue line. So if you follow the horizontal plane from point B, and you say, I'm going to just move horizontally, i.e. a tangent from point B, then you will follow this green line, and you will gradually get higher and higher. And remember, elevation on the Earth is the distance between the point you are and effectively towards the center of the Earth. But the way, obviously, that would be, you get silly big measurements. So what they tend to do is to mean sea level. So the blue line there is effectively mean sea level. And so you then want to be vertical. So in fact, your elevation would actually be that at the point of the arrow, because it's perpendicular to the what a plumb bob would be. So vertical. I shouldn't really have drawn it here because you're going to. Let's move this over to the other point, because otherwise you're going to get confused between going up the paper and what constitutes up and down. And you mustn't think that going up the screen is up and down. So I'm now going to move point A to over here, so that you now realize that this is the elevation, the size of this pink arrow. That is the elevation change. So I started off at B, and I went along the horizontal plane. I went horizontally. So if I was looking through an auto level with no refraction, I would be following this path. I'd gradually be getting higher and higher and higher and higher and higher until this point above. I would then be above A, and my elevation would be the size of that pink arrow. That would be my elevation. And I followed a horizontal from B, followed the tangent along this distance until I was then vertically above A, and I would have this elevation, because traveling horizontally to B means your elevation will increase. As you can see, this tangent obviously doesn't follow the curve of the Earth, and so obviously you'll leave the curve, and that gap between the green arrow, the horizontal, is the drop. This is effectively the drop. This is the thing I'm trying to measure in rect.
Right.
So the difference between level, remember, something that's level means it's following the blue line, following the curve, the perimeter of the globe surface, and being horizontal, because it's only horizontal at B. Immediately I get up here, the point ceases to be horizontal, because if I have
horizontal again, Rumpus, yeah?
Right. It's only horizontal. This horizontal plane is only actually horizontal at point B. Over here, it's no longer horizontal. So, for instance, I've got a
horizontal then.
Oh, let me show you. I've got
There's
a little
horizontal
here.
point on a horizontal plane. The
only point at which this plane that I've drawn in green called horizontal is at point B, because
is that where the vertical is?
Hold on. What have I done with my diagram?
Is that where the vertical is, Rumpus?
Hold on, I can show you.
You're not going to tell us that the only place it's horizontal is where it's vertical.
Correct. I think if I understood what you said, let me just try. Right, here we go. Right, so here we go. Let me show you what happens to horizontal.
Perpendicular means, Rumpus?
Right, here we go. So this is what happens to someone if you're traveling horizontally. So here we have a horizontal. Here we've got a point here with a plumb bob going down. So there's your spirit level, and that's up and that's down. The question is, and then we have all these planes perpendicular to this horizontal. So the horizontal plane, this is a plane. This green line, this horizontal green line here is only horizontal at this point, and it's a plane. But it's only horizontal at this point. So the question is, what happens at these other points, these other perpendiculars to this plane that I've created? What are they exactly? They are perpendicular to this horizontal plane, but the point is it's only horizontal at this point. So this is what a spirit level would do. Because if you then put plumb bobs at each one of those points on that horizontal plane, they all have to point to the center of the Earth. So at this point, for instance, on the center on this horizontal plane, or over here, for instance, the plumb bob would point to the center of the Earth, and the spirit level obviously has to be 90 degrees to that. So at this point on the horizontal plane, at this point here, is not horizontal anymore. This plane is only horizontal at this point over here.
Rumpus,
where does this happen?
I've got a picture here of a height of collimation method with a horizontal line of sight, and it says at the bottom, mean sea level datum. It seems to be a straight line. Like they've not unclamped it. So where are all of the unclamped lines of elevation profiles?
Yeah, where does this happen at in reality?
Hold on, let me deal with. Rakia was asking me a question first. What was the question, Rakia?
It's just simple. Where do you imagine this happen?
Happens all over. I mean, the distance obviously if you zoom into here like this, obviously if you're only moving a little bit along here, then you're not going to notice it. And we can only detect this. I think it takes about 400 or 500 meters using an auto level to detect the change. But at 400 meters, how much change would there be? Well, there's only a millimeter drop or something at 400. Well, no, was it a millimeter? Is it? I can't remember how. It's about a millimeter, isn't it, or something at 400 meters? I could go and check if you like.
But something that's measurable, right?
It's measurable, yes. A decent auto level can detect that. Notice also these verticals are not parallel. All these plumb bobs here are not parallel to one another. They're pointing to the center of the Earth.
But it's just a diagram. No one's
Indeed, but it reflects reality. It reflects reality, and you can detect this. You only need 400 meters.
Give me 1 second.
can I just put one more sentence?
You've been
You
told
only need to travel 400 meters,
Rumpus,
and then you will detect the difference. You will then know to be able to detect the fact that the verticals are not parallel. Go ahead.
Wow, that's good, Rumpus. Thanks.
400 meters.
Yeah.
Now, when are you doing that?
Well, Rect will demonstrate this because I will demonstrate that there is a difference between the horizontal that the auto level has and the level, because I will be measuring this distance. I will be.
How far are you shooting?
I'm going out 8 kilometers.
Why don't you just do 400 meters?
Because I want to show you a much bigger thing. If I were to show you and say, "Oh, look, there's 1 millimeter on my my measuring device," you're going to say, "Well, that could easily be an error. I'm not impressed with that." Whereas if I go and show you, hold on, let me just finish. If I go to 8 kilometers and I can show you 25 feet, and I can show you 25 feet of drop, I think that'll make a much bigger impression on you than showing you a millimeter of drop.
It actually wouldn't. It actually would be worse because you're looking 6 miles.
Yeah.
So if you were looking 400 meters and you got a very accurate, and you could replicate that over and over again and tell me that you didn't have any tool error or human error or any type of atmospheric conditions affecting your measurement, that would impress me more.
But you will not be impressed with me showing you on a ruler a 1 millimeter difference over 400 meters, will you? You won't be impressed with that.
1 millimeter.
I said more.
Well, I've gone. Okay, if you want me to give you the exact number,
1 millimeter, Rumpus.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want the exact number? Is that what you're complaining about? You want to know what the exact number is?
I want to know what you think the number is for the drop.
400 meters.
Over 400 meters. Yeah.
Rightio. Let me go and do it.
If I see that, I'll become a baller. If you can show that. Every 400 meters, there's the Plumb bob inclines. Then I'll have to believe in gravity.
No, he's talking about the drop of the water level.
The horizontal drop.
Well, there are several things going on. There's a change in the no. SE was right. There's a change in the vertical, as this diagram shows. The Plumb bobs are not parallel. They incline to one another, and the further you go, the more inclined they are.
Concentrate. Get the number.
Okay, right then. Well, okay, right.
One thing at a time, Rump.
We do, yeah. So you wanted 400 meters. Okay, 400 meters. What the hell?
That would be the drop.
Have you heard of the latest method to keep us away from you doing your test as well, Rumpus?
Give me a moment. I'll get back to me.
George is coming over and he's saying that he's going to be there and he's going to feel threatened if we go there. So we best keep away from him. That's what George is saying at the minute. It's a bit snowflakey, that, do you not think? Somebody coming into the country telling us that we can't go somewhere because they feel threatened.
He's allowed to...
meters.
Okay, yeah. Let me just concentrate on this for a moment. So that's 0.
You did all this, Rumpus?
Hold on. Let me just. Right. So at 400 meters. Sorry, it's not that squared, isn't it? Oh God, sorry. Yes, this is what comes. I can't do things. Right. So it's half an inch, isn't it? So half an inch. So that's 12 millimeters. Okay. So it's more than it's at 400 meters. It's more than I said it was. It's 12.
You might want to calculate that again.
Well, it's 0.5. Okay, let me multiply that by 2.54. 12 times 2.54. Right. So hello. Why is that? Why is that? Oh, is it 1 centimeter? Sorry, I got that. Yeah, sorry, it's 1 centimeter. 1.16. Let me just check on that. So it's 0.24.
Now, is this on the fly calculations?
Yeah, I'm doing it now. Yes, I'm just working out now. I'm just. I could.
You know, we've already got people to do this for us.
Yeah, I've got a calculator somewhere. But I'm just doing it manually. I should use. I've got a spreadsheet to do this. So let me. I'll tell you what. I'll go and use my spreadsheet to make absolutely sure there is no possibility of me making when you're trying to do things, calculate things.
Can you give us 5 decimal places as well for some unknown reason?
Okay, if you want.
Yeah, go on. They get anal about it, so I think 5's the good one, the general.
If you made the string so if you hung 2 Plumb bobs, let's say 100 meters apart, and you hung them from 1,000 feet, the top of those strings holding those plumb bobs would be a lot further apart than the bottom, right, Rumpus?
Give me two. Why am I getting?
Oh, it's a bit hard. Don't you? Yeah, he's doing calculations, Ricky. Don't interrupt him.
The further, the string would go up and the plumb bob stayed at the surface, the further apart the tops would get, right?
Yeah.
So it's 1.2.
Do distances change, or do they stay the same but get bigger?
I don't know.
How does that work?
Hold on, let me just put in the right. So this is the drop here. I've put it in.
If you have a ruler that's a meter on the floor, and then you lift it up and take it higher, does it get bigger? Or
sorry, I've been busy posting. I've just posted
awkward,
the thing. So if you want me to, so it is 1.2 centimeters. Is as I said it was. It was my last answer was correct. 1.1, whatever it was, is the drop
in the millimeters.
Over 400 meters, there is a drop of 1.2 centimeters.
Yeah, 1.2.
Does that correspond with the Ruhif numbers?
Yeah.
Yeah, he used the same thing. This is just using the x squared. Actually, this one it'll agree. It'll be very close to what Ruhif gave you.
Yeah, we've got 12.55689 millimeters. Are you all right with that?
That's exactly. Yeah. What? Yes, exactly. That's exactly.
That's an imaginary drop from.
That's a real one. It's a real drop.
No, it's not. It's imaginary.
It's absolutely real. We can measure it.
You can measure that. That's a drop from horizontal. A Jesse Kozlowski, full on, boom, nutsack drop. Measurable.
What I showed is what I'm showing you in this diagram here. That drop there, that's this distance between the horizontal and the level is that value. At 400 meters, that is 1.2 centimeters. At 8 kilometers, which is what I'm going to be doing with.
Rumpus, that's brilliant, because that's exactly what we said for the test. And we said, well, we'll show you we can do a shared straight line segment test when we do our
but your shared straight line segment is idiotic because you do not establish that you've got a straight line. Your line is curved.
What?
That's your problem with your whole concept. You don't understand.
It's a Euclidean test for the.
No, it's not. Let me show you what's wrong with your test. Let me just show you what's wrong. If I do this,
I don't know what you're telling us.
Rumpus,
you don't even know the test.
Okay, you're kind of talking over Bev there.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Yeah, just calm down.
Yeah,
one thing at a time.
There's no problem. But I mean, you're saying that is definitely a measurable drop from horizontal over distance of the water level.
Correct, and that's what I'll be measuring.
Absolutely mental.
And it'll be and it's about. Let me just give you the number for my distance for over 8 kilometers. That drop is 5 meters. Is 5 meters over a distance of 8 kilometers, which is what I'm measuring. It's about 5 meters, i.e., about whatever that is, 15 feet, 20 feet
of the water level in the canal.
Drop of what? Yeah.
The drop of the water level with respect to the horizontal. I mean, how many times have I got to say this? This diagram here shows you
the horizontal at the other end.
What's that? We're not worrying about that. We're worrying about. Look at this diagram here. Okay. I'm at this point here, and the big question is the water level dropping with respect to this horizontal I've got here? And it goes to 5 meters at 8 kilometers.
Let's see. What? That's not. I've only just looked at this, Rumpus, but that's not Bedford, is it?
What do you mean that's not Bedford? I don't know what you mean by that's not Bedford.
Where's the canal barge?
What's that got to do with the
Because it's all sloping downwards, Rumpus. None of that's horizontal or vertical.
The blue line represents the Bedford Canal and is level. Is level, and it is the same elevation. So the blue line I've got there is the same elevation.
You obviously don't know.
It's level, and the difference between the horizontal, the green line, this distance here, and I'll draw it. Let me just draw a new line. This drop here. From there to there, I'll put it in red. Yeah. Make it a bit orange. Make it a bit thicker, white. Make it a bit thicker so you can see a bit more clearly.
Rumpus,
so that is the drop.
Drawing your little pictures is all well and good. It's not.
Yeah, and this is whether I'm measuring this. This is what I'm measuring. This is what I'm going to be measuring.
Yeah, Yeah, you're doing little.
You see, you don't understand the globe model, Bev. You go on and on about the globe
do
model, but you don't.
understand the globe
No, you
model
don't.
much better than
Because
you,
every time I
Rumpus.
show you this, you go into
Absolutely.
shock and say, "Oh, is that what you mean, Rumpus?" And then Ruhif says the same thing to you.
It's
We
okay.
all
I
say
mean,
the same thing
we
to you,
all-
and you
I know,
feign shock
yeah.
every single time we
I'm
show it
not
to
in
you.
shock, Rumpus.
You are in shock, or you feign shock. That is what we're all talking about.
No,
that
we
there,
already know,
orange thing.
Rumpus.
This
Yeah.
Why are
is
you
the
so excited?
Yeah, he's
because
not-
I have because it's very frustrating when we keep on telling you what drop is, and then you've got Bev saying, "Oh golly, what's that? The drop? Bloody hell! You're telling me something new." And I don't know whether
Telling
he
you the
believes
water
what he's
doesn't
saying.
drop from the horizontal.
It does, Bev, and that's what I'm going to be measuring in rect. Exactly what I'm going to be measuring. This orange line here is the drop for a certain
Right, well,
distance
you know
along.
that we've already done the 400-meter water level test, right?
I've no idea what that is.
The reason we chose 400 meters is because
Yes, but you're not testing
you
against the
said it
horizontal, are
was
you?
measurable. People like you say you can measure that, but not only measure the 400.
But you're not
because
measuring it,
obviously
are you?
Rumpus, there's no
You
drop.
are not
Rumpus.
measuring it.
Rumpus.
You are not measuring it against the
Oh, for fuck's
horizontal.
sake,
You're
Rumpus.
not measuring
There's
it.
no drop. You can't
You are,
have a
because
drop
you're not
of
measuring
the
it
water
against
level.
the horizontal, are you?
Yes.
You are not measuring against the horizontal.
Rumpus, you can just keep repeating it over and over
Well,
again.
understand
You
what
get
I'm saying.
nowhere.
You are not measuring that gap that I've labelled drop there, are you?
The water level. We were using a water level, Rumpus, and if
Yes,
you'd
but
shut
water
the
level is
fuck
the blue
up,
line.
you'd listen, right?
I understand fully what you're
400
saying.
meters, Rumpus.
Yes, but you're
Well,
not
yeah,
measuring it against something.
again,
You've
yes,
got to
you
measure.
are.
To make a measurement
Yes, you
between
are,
2
Rumpus.
points, you don't have 2 points.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't.
Yes, you have.
All
an
you've got, a
end
water
point.
level
Oh, you
will follow the
fucking
blue
hell,
line
Rumpus.
as well.
It's
That's why it's
obvious
called
that
a
this
water
is-
level.
It's really
You
hard
see, you don't
for
want to
you,
let
right,
me
isn't
speak,
it?
do you? You don't want me to make the crucial point. And the crucial point is you are not measuring the difference between horizontal and the water level because you're not
Because
measuring
the
it against
water
an auto level horizontal
is
plane.
a tool for establishing a horizontal plane of reference, Rumpus.
Only at the point of the water level. You are not measuring at
That's
this
what we're
distance
using.
here.
We're using the water level to show how you can use Euclidean geometric principles in reality to show exactly how to practicalize Euclidean principles within the book 11.
Right, here's a water level on screen. And you have your two pots.
Rumpus.
Yeah, let me finish. Stop it. You see, interrupting me again. Here we have a water level with 2 pots.
Look at it.
And we've joined it. See, you're interrupting me again.
It's
you won't let me finish, will
vertical.
you? You won't
The
let me
water
finish,
would
will you? You
piss
see, again, you
out.
won't let me finish. You won't let me finish, will you?
It
You won't
looks
let me make my
fucking
point. You see,
ridiculous.
interrupting me again. You won't let me make the crucial point because you can't cope with it. And here we have a 2-pot water,
like a
2-pot
child.
water level. So you won't let me make the point again, will you? These
Look
2
at it
points
yourself.
are at the same level. See, these dotted blue lines are at the same level,
They're
the
not.
same elevation. And so we have 2 pots,
The vertical.
and the only horizontal, the water level is not actually designed for horizontal, because to get a horizontal
Yes, it
from a
is.
water level, you then have to use another device to look between the 2 pots. But if it does give you a
Dark
horizontal,
shark.
if you are going to
Rumpus,
use it to
stop being
generate
so
a water
fucking
level, it has got the horizontal is for the midpoint between the 2. That's where it's horizontal. But no
Yeah,
one uses a
Rumpus.
water level in the way you described.
Yes, they do.
People use water levels to check elevation. So as you can see from this diagram, a
Which
water
is
level
measured against the
is
reference for
level.
the vertical datum.
The water level
Right,
in here will
Rumpus?
have the same distance from the centre of the Earth.
Elevation is the vertical datum, isn't it, Rumpus?
Correct.
You're in the
And if you look
UK.
at and that's what my dotted line is.
Mhm.
See my blue dotted line? This level A is at the top
but you
of the
said
pots.
you said that's only at a point.
Well, you can have the same elevation at different points. Level A, the dotted line, represents
what
level
shape,
A.
What
at the
shape
pipe.
is level, Rumpus?
It's curved, as I've drawn it. Can you
What
not
do
see
you
the
mean
dotted line on
curved?
screen?
What do you mean
Can you not
curved?
see the dotted
What
line on
shape?
screen?
What shape, Rumpus?
Can you see the dotted line on screen? I'm
What
showing
shape
you the
is a
shape.
curved,
I'm
Rumpus?
showing you the shape on screen now, Bev.
What shape is
the
a
dotted
curved,
line
Rumpus?
is the shape of level.
A curved. That's a
yes.
nice shape.
Can you not see the dotted? Can people? Is it only just Bev that's having a problem here?
I'm not
Can you
looking
see
at
the
it,
dotted
Rumpus.
line?
I'm not looking at it.
Can you
I'm
see the
asking
dotted
you
line, people?
What shape
that
is a curved?
is level. It's curved. Yes. Can you not see the dotted line?
What
that's
shape
curved?
is a curved?
It's actually a sphere, but it's in this cross section. It's a circle.
Level is a sphere.
Yes, every elevation on the point of the Earth occupies a shell. So just in this diagram, I've drawn the dotted line. I've called level A is the top dotted line. Everything at that point is at the same level. So the top of the pots. So because the pots are going to be at the same level.
Can I get you to say that again, Rumpus? That
so here we go. So level A.
Shape.
So the level
say
A.
It again, Rumpus.
Well, let me just finish my sentence. And I'll say whatever you want. I will say what you want. When I've just finished the sentence, I will say what you want me to say.
Go on.
So here we go. So the dotted line marked level A is one level, and level B is another dotted line. And so every point on that dotted line is the same distance from the centre of the Earth, and therefore at the same elevation. So the pots, of course, because they've joined up by water, will come to the same level. And so the top of the pot here, the water level will be here and there, and it'll have the same level. Level A. What was it you wanted me to say, Bev?
I said, what shape is level, Rumpus?
Well, on the Earth, everything that's at the same level, it forms a shell. So everything at the same elevation on the Earth, we're looking at cross-section here. So level A looks like a circle, but obviously on a 3D world, that would form a shell around the Earth. So if you were 100 meters, so 100 meters elevation on the Earth would form a shell around the 3D globe.
So
just like it's drawn here in 2D. Well, I can only easily draw it in 2D, obviously, on screen.
Shape is level, Rumpus. Come on.
It is a shell, a spherical shell.
Shell.
Yeah. Spherical shell, yes.
What's a spherical shell look like?
You don't know what a spherical shell is?
I haven't got a clue. I can't imagine.
My God. Imagine the globe, the surface of a globe. That is a shell. You can think of the surface of the globe. It's a surface, and it's a particular distance from the centre of the Earth. So you can
2D surface.
An example of a shell
is it 2D?
Would be the surface of the globe.
Yeah, is it a 2D surface, or are you having a 3D surface?
The shell is a 3D object in
3D.
terms of its projection in 3D, but moving around, we talk about it being 2D. So, Bev, for instance, do you think a line is three-dimensional? When we have a line in our world, do you think that's three-dimensional?
If you're laying it down with lead, with a pencil, that would definitely be 3D, wouldn't it?
No, I'm holding if I'm holding imagine I'm holding an infinitely thin line, an infinitely thin line as defined by Euclid. What a line is, and I'm holding it. I'm somehow managing to hold this line.
You're not holding it in reality, are you?
Hold on. Let me just give you the scenario, and then you can. I'm asking you to imagine the following scenario. I've got a Euclidean line.
Like you're trying to get off the shape of a shell.
I'm happy to go back to that. I really am. I'm not trying to deflect. I never try and deflect. But I just thought it might be useful for you to understand why we talk about surfaces being two-dimensional. And I thought it might be helpful to you to think about a one-dimensional line and how that appears in a three-dimensional world. So if I manage to hold in my hand a line, a Euclidean line, a Euclidean straight line that's infinitely thin... Do you think that's three-dimensional?
It's 1D, the Euclidean line, you muppet.
Right, there we go then. So why do you think the surface is 3D?
If you were holding it, in reality, it would actually be 3D. Because it would be in reality.
Right, indeed. Now, this is what... Right, now, you're getting closer to the horizon. So anything in any space... Let's imagine we lived in a 5D world. Everything in it would be 5D, even though it might not be able to move. I'm trying to spread your... I'm trying to ask you to engage your imagination here. Everything... There'll be no... In other words, what you're saying is...
that nobody can possibly imagine.
Right, so what you're saying is that a 1D line...
what you're saying is, imagine something you can't fucking imagine.
Right,
to start off with.
Let's stick with what you can imagine.
Yeah, let's stick with reality, Rumpus.
I'm doing so. The 1D line, you're saying is three-dimensional. Right, so here you go. The 1D line that you just described that as being three-dimensional.
No, I
and that's
didn't,
because
Rumpus.
we're looking
That's
at it.
You're very confused, Rumpus.
No. Let
you
gave me an answer. I asked you to imagine a Euclidean line in our world, and you said it was
getting
three-dimensional.
fucking old. Is anybody else pissed off with this?
Can you not? You gave me an answer in which you said a line.
I'm getting pissed off, Rumpus. I'm going to shut you up. Right.
Go on then.
In reality, a line, if it's in reality, it's 3D. Because you've laid it down on top of something, haven't you?
Right, so there you go. So you think everything has the same number of dimensions as the reality in which you look at it. You don't distinguish between 1D, 2D, and 3D objects. They're all 3D to you. And that's your problem.
In reality,
that's why
yeah,
you don't understand why a surface is two-dimensional. Because you think everything has the same, although it lives in our three-dimensional world and occupies 3D space, we describe it geometrically and mathematically as one-dimensional for a line and two-dimensional for a surface. Because we can describe a line with just one dimension, Rumpus. And we can describe a surface. We can move around every point on a surface 2D. With just two coordinates.
A line
and that's why we call it two-dimensional.
And a plane is 2D.
No, you're not. You just said what? You just said a line was 3D.
In reality,
there you go. You just said a line is three-dimensional.
Is 3D.
So you've just said, right, so you've just said a line is three-dimensional, and that's your problem. That's why you don't understand why a surface is two-dimensional.
But when we look at it in three geometry, let me tell you again. In Euclidean geometry, a line is 1D, and a plane is 2D.
Right, but what about in reality?
Everything in reality is 3D. Solid.
Right, in which case then you should have no problem accepting that surfaces are two-dimensional, including the surface of a sphere then.
A plane is two-dimensional, Rumpus.
So all surfaces are two-dimensional. They don't have to be planar.
No, a plane is 2D.
I can bend a plane and I can still describe every point 3D, on that surface with two coordinates. This is your fundamental problem. The thing that makes a surface is that it only requires two dimensions to describe every point on it. With just two coordinates, I can describe every point on that surface, and that's why the surface
seems
of a
like
sphere...
you've just got confused, Rumpus. We said
no,
again,
I'm relaying to you
line
standard
in geometry is 1D.
I'm relaying to you standard geometry, which you
a line is 1D and a plane is 2D.
All surfaces are two-dimensional.
No, a plane is 2D.
Well, you're wrong. If you looked up analytical geometry and you knew anything about geometry, you would agree with me. But because
it's
you
very
haven't,
simple,
Rumpus.
You've
just stuck to
simple concepts.
You've only read bits of Euclid, and you've never read anything about analytical geometry. You've never done any maths on this, and therefore you're completely stuck 2,000 years ago in an archaic, obsolete approach to this.
Is 1D, Rumpus.
But you said it's 3D in our world.
A plane is 2D.
But can you not see that you've changed your position? You sometimes say the line is three-dimensional in reality, but one-dimensional in Euclid.
A Euclidean line, 1D,
you've got a contradiction,
and a plane, 2D, don't
so a line,
exist
so is a line
in
1D
reality, Rumpus. They don't
So is a line
exist.
one-dimensional or
They're
three-dimensional?
concepts for you to use.
Is a line one-dimensional or three-dimensional?
A line in Euclidean geometry...
What about in real world?
1D. If you make it in real world, you put a line. Is that line sticky tape? Is that line a bit of chalk? Is that line a bit of lead from a pencil? What's that line made out of, Rumpus? Is it? Is it 3D?
Is what 3D?
The line that you make in reality.
Oh, yes, it's three-dimensional. So therefore, you should
right. So you agree with me then? Thank you very much. Lines are 3D.
Right, so in which case you should understand.
We all agree that lines in reality are 3D and are conceptual in Euclidean geometry, just like a two-dimensional plane in Euclidean geometry.
In which case, if you have no problem realizing that a 1D line occupies a 3D space in our 3D world, you should have no problem in having an arbitrary 2D surface that is described by only two dimensions, occupies 3D space. So
Yeah,
you actually agreed with the thing that you
flat,
completely
Rumpus.
dispute.
You call that flat. As close as you
Surfaces
can
don't
get
have
to
be
a
flat.
2D surface as
The
a
way
visual,
you describe a surface,
in reality,
because you haven't done
is what we call a flat. In geometry, we just call it a 2D, don't we?
Because you've not done any maths and you've not done any analytical geometry, you don't know what a surface is. And that's something that can be described with two coordinates.
It's getting old.
And the line is described with one coordinate. A surface by 2 dimensions. It doesn't have to be flat. It can be any shape in our 3D world.
2D.
Because in its own 2D world, it's only 2D. And you've just accepted. I'm glad to see that you've understood the difference between the concept is one for line is 1D, but in the real world it's 3D. And the same with a surface. It's a 2D surface, but when we look at it in our 3D world, then it appears it occupies 3D space. It depends on the number of dimensions you're looking at it, but it's still conceptually 2D, and that's why the surface of the Earth is conceptually 2D, because you only need two coordinates to describe every point on it. And I know you don't understand the difference between latitude and longitude. You called it time.
2D is a plane surface, Rumpus.
But if
I think everybody understands that.
But if you don't understand that
I think
2D
everybody
surface,
understands what a
is he interrupting me
2D
again?
plane is.
No, you don't understand it, because if you understood what defined, is he interrupting me again? You won't let me make my point, will you? You won't let me make my point. A surface is something that's described by two coordinates. I can visit every point on a surface with just two coordinates. That's what makes it 2D.
Yeah. Everybody knows what 2D planes are. Everybody knows.
We're not talking about 2D planes. We're talking about surfaces. They're not just planar.
We're talking about 2D.
And no, you see, you keep right. You don't understand what 2D surfaces are because you keep on referring to planes. No, you don't, because you keep on going back to a plane.
Rumpus,
surfaces
when you say this,
do not have to be a plane.
You keep saying it as though you're just talking to me. You're not. You're talking to everybody. Everybody knows 2D is a plane surface.
No, it's not. Everybody who's done any maths and any analytical geometry knows that it's not just a plane. You're the only person, along with your cronies, who think the otherwise. You are in a little bubble of your own because you have not studied this at all. You don't understand the definition of a surface.
It's just length times breadth. There's no
third
dimension.
Right, you've just described. Right, you've just described it. You see, it's just got two dimensions, hasn't it, Bev?
Yes, there's no third dimension. There's no
exactly. That's right. And you can have a surface of a sphere that you can visit every point on it with just two coordinates. And that's what makes it two-dimensional.
Yeah, everybody knows that's a plane surface, Rumpus.
No, it's not a plane surface. No, everybody knows who's done any maths that it's not just a plane surface. And interestingly, you have understood the difference between a conceptual straight line and a straight line in a three-dimensional world looking at it. And you should therefore, you need to make a little leap now to understand that a 2D surface, like a 1D line, when it's looked at in a 3D world, occupies 3D space, but it is still described as a 2D surface because you only need two coordinates to describe every point on it. That's what makes it 2D.
Just because
That's the
you
definition
talk really
of
fast, Rumpus, doesn't mean people are listening to what you say.
Yeah, but the thing is, you interrupt me every time, so I've got to get a certain amount of information in before you're going to interrupt me, which is usually after the fourth word. You see, there you go, you've done it again.
Everybody knows.
So I only get about 4 words in before you interrupt me.
Everybody knows what 2D is, Rumpus.
Everybody who does maths knows, but you don't, because you've never done any maths. You've never done any analytical geometry. You don't understand coordinates. You didn't even understand what latitude and longitude was the other day.
You realise,
you don't
Rumpus,
understand the basics.
I'm in here speaking for people that know what 2D is. You're in here speaking for
on behalf of reality.
Oh, right.
I'm speaking on behalf of analytical geometry.
That 2D isn't a plane surface, or it isn't just a plane surface.
It isn't just a plane surface.
Right. So how do you have a two-dimensional surface that isn't a plane?
Because you're looking and think of it in 3D. You can visit every point on a surface with just two coordinates. That's what makes it 2D. But like a line, like the line that you've accepted, that when you're looking at it from a 3D world, it occupies 3D space. Similarly with a surface, it occupies 3D space even though it's only 2D. Just like a line occupies 3D space even though it's only one-dimensional conceptually. It's the same issue. And if you've accepted the one line, which you've accepted is one-dimensional, can occupy 3D space, then you should have no problem in a 2D conceptual thing occupying 3D space as well, because it occupies the space in which you live. That's your problem. You don't understand that everything will occupy space in the world that you are looking at it from.
I don't understand, Rumpus, because you're talking to everybody that's now thinking, wait a minute, isn't 2D a plane?
Only people who don't know anything about maths and analytical geometry say that, are ignorant of the issues. I mean, it's a childlike way of looking at it, but I mean, your educational level is not much more than an 11, 12-year-old, is it?
We do the basics, Rumpus, here. That's what we mainly do. Yes, we do. Yes.
Well, you don't. You don't understand what latitude and longitude is. That's basic.
We do the basics.
You don't understand what longitude
geometry
is, do you? Would you say that longitude is basic? Because you don't understand what that was, do you? When you were asked about that, you thought it was time.
Explain. Go on, Rumpus. Do your best. Now, give your best lesson to everybody.
Right. Imagine a globe, people. How would you describe every point on the globe? So if you've got a globe in your hand, what coordinate system would you use to describe it? It turns out the easiest one to have is two angles based on the angle to the radius. So it's one angle. Hopefully you understand is longitude is going, if you've got it in front of you, it's sort of left to right, and the latitude is dependent on an angle going vertical. So with just two coordinates, you can describe the surface of a sphere, and that's why sailors and everybody in history has referred to the surface of the globe in latitude and longitude. Your position in Google Earth is described with just two coordinates, just two, as latitude and longitude. But Bev doesn't know what longitude is. He thought it was time. He doesn't understand how to describe the surface of a sphere with just two coordinates. And this is half his problem. It's just two coordinates. Google Earth uses two coordinates. We live in a world in which your position GPS is just described by two coordinates. And that's because we live on a surface. Even though we're in a 3D world, we describe our position in 2D with two coordinates. And that's what makes it a surface. Because the definition of a surface is one which you can describe with just two coordinates.
Wow, that's convenient, isn't it, that a plane surface is 2D?
Well, a plane surface is just a subset of any other surface.
Oh, yeah.
Just like the surface of sphere I described, it's got two coordinates, latitude and longitude, just two coordinates.
Where do you measure the angles from, then?
The centre of the Earth.
And how do you do that?
Well, we know where the centre of the Earth is. We know, I mean, you can use reference points like Polaris. That's the sky gives you a very useful way of referencing the angle.
What?
So you can take an angle to Polaris. Well, yes, we know. If you know you're on the surface of a sphere and you've got a reference outside it and you want to measure your angle, then you can just say, right, the pole star is around. If you decide that your vertical thing is around the axis of your rotating globe, then you just need an angle to that to get your latitude. And so you can then, fortunately, we've got a star at the moment that lives on top of the vertical axis.
You don't get an angle to Polaris to work out vertical, do you?
No, I didn't say vertical, did I? We were talking about the coordinates on the surface of the sphere. It's very useful for the Polaris lives above the axis of rotation, and therefore we can there easily work out
Isn't
our
that your
angle.
Z-axis, though?
No, the Z. Well, now you're going to get confused between Z and vertical.
I'm not going to get
vertical,
confused. I bet you are.
You are. Well, okay, here's a question for you. Do you understand on the globe model that down is towards the centre of the Earth?
Wait a minute. On the globe model, down is every direction.
No, it's towards the centre of the Earth. At your point. So you pick a point on the surface of the Earth, down is towards the centre of the Earth.
Vertical is in every direction.
No, there's only one. At any point, look at my diagram.
On your model, that's one of the inconsistencies I can't get over with your model.
Well, if you look at my diagram, I don't.
Vertical is in every direction. I know how your model works. Yeah.
No, you don't, because when I asked you this a few months ago, you did not accept that down.
No two verticals are the same on your model. Every one of them's different. They're all in different directions.
So are you showing my diagram?
None of them are the same.
Can I show you my? Are you on? If you look, I don't suppose you're showing my diagram anymore.
Nah.
No, you.
No,
right. So in my diagram,
on your diagram,
I'm showing you.
On your
I'm showing
model,
you where the verticals are. I'm showing you where the verticals are in my diagram. No, there's only a specific vertical for every single point.
No two verticals are ever the same.
Can you make my different? Can you increase the size of my screen, please, so I can show you what verticals are?
I know what verticals are on your
I know,
model,
but I'd like to see that your
verticals are
audience.
in
No, you
reality.
don't understand it because you think verticals in the same point. There's only one vertical for every point on the surface of the Earth. Can you?
Yeah, that's
could you
what I've
please
just said,
expand my
Rumpus.
diagram?
On your model, all verticals are different.
Can you please expand my diagram?
Direction.
Can you please expand my diagram so I can
No.
show you where the verticals are?
No, Rumpus.
You won't do that. Okay,
No.
I'll go then. Right.
See ya. Go on, do you want a hand? Do you want me to get... There you go, thank you very much.
What's going on?
Hey, Mats, you could have had a word with Rumpus.
Oh, yeah, I just came in there. And
what? Is he gone? Oh, what? Well, Wally's in here as well. Look at that. Listening in, I bet he's not going to say out.
So, why did he get angry? I saw this diagram and he's saying that...
He likes, well, he's one of these, like, he's a wizard, and he knows the power of the meme. So the visuals mean everything to Rumpus. If he thinks he can show you his model, then he's getting you to look at his model, and at least he's winning then, because he can say that he showed you his ridiculous version of vertical being in every direction.
All right.
He thinks we don't know his model.
So what was he arguing against?
There isn't ever an argument with Rumpus. He was telling us how on his model level and horizontal aren't the same thing, and how there is a measurable drop of the water level from horizontal over 400 meters of 12.5 millimeters. One and a bit centimeters, the water level drops over 400 meters, says Rumpus on his model. It's a quadratic function.
Did he get banned?
No, he got upset because I wouldn't show his picture, his screen, to the audience on YouTube. Everybody comes back now. I mean, nobody really wants to listen to Rumpus, especially the Globers, because he makes the Globers look bad, and he exposes their model as being fucking ridiculous. He keeps drawing water levels vertical and expecting you to understand that they're supposed to be horizontal on the side of a ball. It's a bit much. It's a bit much to take anyway. For a normal person, you'd be shocked at some of the stuff that he has to draw and show. It's just ridiculous. I do it to save him from the masses because it looks ridiculous.
Do you think Wally's video is ready for... Because he apparently has a killer video coming out for the unclamped hump.
No way. Well, Wally's bent the horizontal, everybody. Let me find that.
Hey, Bev.
Yeah.
I got an idea. Why don't you guys have like some moderation when you debate stuff like this? So you force each opponent to steelman each other. You know, the opposite of a strawman argument. It would be interesting though, because it would require some humbleness.
Yeah.
Moderate the rumpus, did you say?
Yeah. And force each opponent to just steelman each other.
Remember how funny this moment is and why I laughed in a couple of months from now. Don't take it personally though.
Yeah, I mean we've tried to have these conversations and it always ends up, don't know.
Yeah, but instead of it being just all chaotic, like it just forced the format to be like this. So people have to understand each other's arguments and steelman it afterwards before debating it. Because then you really show that you understand what you're talking about instead of just having to be right all the time, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, once you find out what the model guys are dealing with, what they have to put forward as an argument, you'd be surprised some of the lengths they have to go to. And in order to steelman your opponent's argument.
Yeah, but it's a good idea, though. Don't you think?
Well, do you want to try it? Yeah.
You can be the moderator next time Rumpet comes on. How's that?
Wally's here. Like, well, I don't know what Wally might like it if he's.
Yeah, but I've seen like really heavy debates using these types of formats that they force each opponent to steelman each other and help them like construct the strongest form of their arguments and shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's because most people are coming at arguments from a fair point of view, right? When you realise there's only one group of people that actually have any proofs within this, and we're coming at it from reality. We only use reality and come at it from that way, then you know that the opposing is fantasy. And it's a bit hard to steelman if you're coming from the fantasy side, right? They get threatened by the reality argument to start off with.
Well, I think it would be like, it's just my stupid fucking opinion, but still, it's just it feels like it would help.
Yeah.
In a way to just acknowledge each other's viewpoints and stuff, and just be humble about it instead of getting into this heated arguments and shit.
Yeah, you try not to get into heated arguments, but once you know rumpus, if you know what rumpus is and what rumpus means, then he lives up to his name. That's his character. He's been given the name for a reason. That's what he's meant to do. What is a rumpus, or what is the rumpus?
Yeah, what does it mean? Like,
have a Google.
Okay.
It's a raucous act. It's somebody who just barges in, takes over, causes
it's just a noisy disturbance.
Yeah.
It's a troublemaker, basically, or
all
right.
And that's his name. So it's pretty obvious that that's what he comes to do. And there's no calming him down. There's no talking to him about anything.
It seems so silly to just get heated until the point that you're just leaving. It seems so silly.
Yeah, it's a character.
All right, and he keeps doing the same thing over and over again.
Yep.
He was civil today.
Yeah.
Compared.
Yeah, he's been told off. He needs to sharpen his act up because it looks like he's going to get.
Did you refuse to view his model?
I've seen it thousands of times. He does it every time. It's part of the script. He comes in, puts his screen on, and does that. I don't know whether that's because he gives him overpower on the Discord server to.
I think it simplifies stuff because then he can just illustrate it, and a picture says more than 1,000 words, you know. So.
Yeah, but he'll never look at the whiteboard whenever we're going over anything. He'll never let you put your screen on and watch you. He'll always want his screen on. You know.
Yeah. Then I understand. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Needs to go both ways.
There is no debate round here either. We've been asking for it for ages. There's a load of channels that are called debate channels, but there is no debate, as in work it out what the points are. You have your turn, you have your say for a few minutes, and then you have your say, and then have a rebuttal to each other's. That doesn't exist in anything.
That's like the most basic form, but yeah, if you have a moderator or somebody who forces each other to, like each opponent to behave in a way, you know, then I think it could go better. Instead of it just being a free-floating debate and everybody's just trying to cut each other off, and I don't know.
Yeah, when we've tried it. This is where we're at, and this is what we do. We just do this. I mean, we have ways of doing tests. Like Rumpus was insane in that. He said 400 meters. I mean, I was shocked. Why say that? We've done a test 400 meters. We've done the overlap of 200 meters. So we've got two 400 meter water levels with the overlap, establishing a shared straight line segment. No part of a straight line can lie with it partly within the plane and partly without it. We did that. That was the test we did last year. Nobody cares about. Nobody seems to bother about. Nobody took it on, and like Rumpus said, they all just say it curves. So they haven't got the fundamentals of the Euclidean geometry that establish a straight line yet. They've not even worked that out.
So it's not possible to debate the nucleus geometry or whatever you called it first,
Euclidean.
just so you can agree on what it is.
You can't debate geometry. That's the one thing that's not debatable. That's where the truths are.
Then why can't you come to a common agreement then? Because there's obviously disagreements.
It doesn't fit the globe.
All right.
It's that simple.
Well, I don't have any overview of what's going on there. So
yeah, I know. Like the argument gets really technical when you get into the geometry, but you find out very quickly that the geometrical fact of straight lines, planes, and perpendiculars, and all of that, and all horizontals being parallel. But
what are the main disagreements? Because if something is logically sound or rational or whatever, you both should be able to agree that 1 + 1 = 2 in a sense, you know?
Yeah, you'd think. That's what I initially came in here for, naive, with an idea that level is horizontal. Somebody called me a child abuser, and I came, I'll find a surveyor then, right? I'll go and find a surveyor and ask them, what do you do? Well, the surveyors that you meet, especially in this arena, say that the water level drops from horizontal. And it's like, that's not logically possible.
Yeah, well, I don't understand it, so I don't know, man.
Oh, you will right now. Brenda's here.
Ooh.
Should I let Brenda in?
Yeah, if you want to.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, get ready, Matt.
We'll let Matt have a chat with Brenda.
Scared now. What's going on?
Just have a chat with Brenda.
It's not just the geometry that they deny; it's the physics, and then physics they'll deny too,
and the logic as well, as you're going to find out.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard any?
To ask questions?
Yeah. Do you want me to?
Okay.
Oh God! I'll let Brenda. There you go. Release the beast.
The Kraken.
Good evening, Brenda. We've got a new guy in called Matt. Would you mind having a word with him?
Hello.
Introduce yourself.
What's up?
There you go. What's up? Look at that. Hear that?
Do you have a proof for your claim that it's impossible, Ben?
What's impossible?
Did you... Brenda?
You said, I'm trying. You said it's impossible for Euclidean geometry to question Euclidean geometry. Do you have a proof for that?
Yeah, it's like a book of them. It's called Euclidean geometry.
That's called begging the question. So you're just assuming that it's unquestionable. Can you provide some kind of argument or demonstration that would show that it's unquestionable?
Well, can you show me the flaw in it?
No, you're the one making the claim. It's on you to substantiate your claim.
Don't be silly.
Yeah, that's how argumentation works. When you make a claim, You are responsible for providing the reasons.
It's perfect,
This
Brenda.
is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's perfect.
No.
You find the flaw. Show me to it. Show me.
I don't have to. I don't have to find the flaw. You said that it's unquestionable, right? It can't be argued against.
Yeah.
But people have. It's just simply
What's the argument against it?
You just change the axioms.
What?
What?
Irrefutable.
Yeah, you just change the axioms.
You
That's
just
what
change the
mathematicians-
axioms. Are you
Yes.
kidding?
Is this new to you? Is this new to you?
Well, I mean, like, how does that make it prove it wrong, right? How does that?
It creates a new geometry.
So you change the undeniable truths.
They're obviously not undeniable then, are they?
What?
If you can change them, then they're not undeniable.
Are you listening, Matt? Matt, are you listening to
Yeah,
him?
I'm listening, but he's got a fair point, though,
Which one?
about changing the axioms.
So make a circle a straight line then, right, Matt? A circle can be a straight line.
No, but it's like what I think.
No, right?
what
You
we
just
had
said no, right?
No, wait, hold on. It's like when we were talking about logic. Like, if you change the premises and stuff, you can make your logic faulty. You know.
Yeah,
And
that's
say,
why there are.
probably up-
Yeah, that's why there are pair-consistent logics, because people change the axioms.
Yes, and I
Yeah,
agree.
absolutely. You're right. Absolutely.
I can't say anything against it, so my bad.
So you don't see anything against calling a circle a line or a triangle a square?
No, that's
you don't
just
see anything wrong with that.
That's the
Matt.
definitions. That's the definitions.
Yeah,
it's
circles.
an axiom we're talking about here.
Yeah, circles aren't in the Euclid's axioms; they're his definitions, right? The axiom would be like the fifth postulate, which is changed.
Well, what about things that are equal to each other?
You don't remember that?
Go on then. Do you remember
No, you don't.
it?
You paused. You don't remember it?
I said do you remember it?
No. Did you forget? You're supposed to be the master Euclidean, and you can't remember that postulate?
Wow. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I know. Somebody
Yeah,
just
it's only
walked
like
in.
an 800-page book.
Go on.
Yeah,
So-
if you're the master.
So you're
of
saying
Euclidean-
about changing the axioms, okay? So are you talking about just changing any axiom? Can you just sort of about all
one-
right angles are equal?
Which one would you change, Brenda? Which one would you start changing?
Well, the one that was changed by, I think his name was Bolyai. I can't pronounce that name. Was the fifth postulate.
Mm-hmm.
What would you make it
What
be
does
then?
that one state?
Yeah, he changed it to, I think, it's the parallel postulate is what it's called.
Is it? I call it the triangle axiom.
How are triangles involved?
How are triangles involved? That one
It simply
two
says
straight
that-
lines crossing another straight line will be formed on the side at which are less than two right angles.
Yeah, that doesn't
Triangle will be
really.
formed.
Yeah, that doesn't really seem. It's not about triangles, though. It's about parallel lines. That's why it's called the parallel postulate.
No.
It's not about triangles. It's about
Yeah,
parallel lines.
Have you not heard what it? No, it's not about parallel lines.
Yes, it is. That's what it's called, the parallel
Do you want
postulate.
me to read?
It's
I
been
know
called
what you
that for
call it.
300. It's been called the parallel postulate for 300 years.
Here we go. If a straight line meet two straight lines, so that's three straight lines. If a straight line meet two straight lines, so as to make two interior angles on the same side of it, taken together, less than two right angles, then these straight lines, being continually produced, shall at length meet on that side on which the angles which are less than two right angles. So it tells you the triangles formed on which side of the line.
That doesn't really seem very self-evident, though.
What do you mean? The triangles have 180 degrees, or the
it's
sum
really-
of two right angles? That does really definitely seem pretty self-evident, that. Because they do, obviously. I mean, you can't just get rid of triangles having 180 degrees.
Yeah, but it's not, it's literally called the parallel postulate.
No, I don't know why that is. That's why I say I call it the triangle axiom.
You don't know why? You don't know? It's not about triangles. It's about parallel lines.
It's about 3 straight lines meeting, and meeting on the side on which there are less than 2 right angles. The triangle is formed on the side.
Bev, I put it in the text. I put it in the text. It's literally called the parallel postulate.
Yeah, but look at that. It shows a triangle meeting. A and B, less than 2 right angles, it makes a triangle.
Yes.
Where's the parallel?
The 2 lines A and B, if they're 90 degrees, they would be parallel. That's why.
And no triangle would be formed. Right?
In the description, Brenda, are they parallel?
No, because their angles are less than 90 degrees.
Exactly. So that shows you. Game over.
So that shows you why a triangle has 180 degrees. Because
here's
the very point where the triangle isn't formed proves parallel lines, right? Because the triangle won't be formed on either side.
It's called the parallel postulate. Here's a quotation. This postulate does not specifically talk about parallel lines. It's only a postulate related to parallelism. Euclid gave the definition of parallel lines in Book 1, Definition 23, just before the 5 postulates. Right?
Yep.
So it is about
the definition of parallel straight lines anyway.
It's about parallelism.
It's about triangles being made with
No, it isn't about triangles.
It also proves the parallels, doesn't it? Because no triangle is formed. The lines do not meet because the triangle is not formed.
Well,
it proves parallel lines, Brenda.
So to get back to my claim, you can change Euclid's 5th axiom because it's hardly
change that because triangles do have 180 degrees. It's a self-evident truth. You cannot just get rid of it.
Yes, you don't get rid of it. You change it. Do you not know this?
Just change it, just like that.
Change it to what, Brenda? What do you change it to? Because triangles do only have 180 degrees, and that's the proof of it.
Is all of this stuff really new to you, Bev?
I'm just telling you now, Brenda. This isn't new at all. This is a geometric proof.
It's 300 years old.
What is?
It's taught to children in high school.
300 years old, Brenda.
The non-Euclidean geometries.
You can't have non-Euclidean geometries.
If you can't have them, how is it possible that people created them anyway?
Because they're in your mind. They only exist in that 2D plane world that Rumpus is talking about.
Well, that's where Euclidean geometry is only in your mind.
3D, Brenda.
No, it isn't.
Solid geometry is definitely Euclidean.
No, it isn't. How did you decide that the real world is definitely Euclidean? What experiments did you prove?
It is.
Because it obviously is. Is begging the question.
Yeah,
it's not 3D. Brenda. The real world, genius. The real world is not 3D.
Make you prove everything, Brenda. We
know the question.
We know,
Brenda. The question?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Yes, it is. It's just
so is it 2D or is it 4D or is it 6D? What's the real world, Brenda?
So when Bab says it just is true, that's begging the question, Mr. Logic Man.
I asked you a question. What world do we live in? How many Ds is our reality? Please, Brenda, answer the question.
We live in a 4-dimensional space-time. That's where we live.
That's all in your head.
No, it isn't. It doesn't matter. The point is that Euclidean geometry is in your head just like any other geometry.
No, reality. X, Y, Z. We live in a 3D world.
You have to prove that.
No, you have to imagine something else in your head.
You're just assuming it's true. That's
no, I'm not
the
assuming
question.
nothing.
Yes, you are.
You're assuming you live in 4D. Show me this 4D world of yours. Show me where time. Show me where X, Y, Z, and show me where the T comes in, Brenda, please.
So you're changing the subject. The point is that all geometry, all of math, is conceptual. They are concepts. They aren't real.
So you went from reality, right, to math.
No, I went
so where
from
is the T, Brenda? Where do you put your T?
No, I didn't go from reality to math. We go from math is used to describe reality.
Okay, describe the T. We have X, Y, Z. We all understand that. Now put the T in somewhere in reality for us, please.
The time is the interval between events.
Right, so how would you express that?
With a clock.
With a clock?
Yeah, clocks measure time.
Right. So you have a clock in your 3D, in your X, Y, Z.
In the real world, clocks measure time by measuring the interval between events.
Right, so it's a concept, right?
No, clocks aren't concepts, they're real.
Not the clock, the time.
Fine. Can I ask a question?
Of course, Matt.
Do you guys disagree that math is a made-up concept?
Yeah, they think that Euclidean geometry is real. It describes, basically, Bev worships the sacred book of Euclid, and he thinks that these are the words of God that infallibly describe our real world.
You think maybe Bev should answer that question for you, Matt, or are you satisfied that Brenda?
No, of course Bev should have the opportunity to defend himself.
Well, he's literally said here that you can't challenge it because it's real.
No, you're trying to tell us, you're trying to incorporate a T, X, Y, Z. We all know we live in reality. Now you're trying to put a T in there and make it a fabric. And I'm calling you out, Brenda.
I just told you. And nice job.
You told me a clock. You said a clock.
Nice job white knighting for Bev. You've taken over, and Bev no longer has to answer questions that he doesn't know the answer to. Apparently, it's news to him, the geometer.
You
answered 300 years.
Brenda,
300 years ago.
with me or something.
Apparently, it's news.
Can't even. I've just been away to make a brew and I come back. And
you're not even fucking paying attention? How rude! You leave your live stream. You left your live stream. You left your live stream and wandered off to fix some tea.
Did it hurt you, Brenda?
What
Sorry,
a jerk!
Did it hurt you?
Listen. Can we take a little pause? Listen. Just take a little breather, okay? So, I'm under the impression that it's a product of the human mind, and we make up mathematics as we go along to suit our purposes. You know, it's not discovered; it's kind of invented, right? Or am I really wrong?
Don't know. Like, how much have you looked into Euclid?
Oh, I haven't looked too much to say I have an understanding of the whole concept. I'm just under the impression that it's a product of the human mind, and we make mathematics up.
Wow.
No, enlighten me. Like, I'm not trying to be difficult.
Well,
so I was always under the impression it was like invented and not discovered.
Well, there's relationships of things in reality that you can know, right?
So reality is not a neutral thing, and we develop tools to measure it.
But there's a fundamental truth hidden within the geometry, and that relationship is the right angle, and that is a fundamental truth. I mean, that's one of the axioms within Euclidean geometry, right? The axioms, like Brenda says, to me, the axioms are self-evident truths, right? I mean, there's a lot of them called the Peano axioms, and they go through mathematics. they're like fundamental truths that govern all of the stuff, right? So you've got the definitions of things, right, that you have to deal with. The definitions come first. As always, within a logical structure, you have to understand what you're talking about. So you have to do, you get your words sorted so you have an understanding of what all of them mean. So definitions of lines, circles, triangles, angles, the building blocks of the words that you're going to use. Then it goes into the axioms. We do this normally on a Thursday.
Wait, he left actually too.
Did he? Yeah. Oh well. Yeah, this is when it gets difficult.
He had a legit point about if you change the axioms, you change the logic too. So
yeah,
it's a fair point.
But like we said earlier today, there's the fundamental truths and explosive principle.
What's the explosive principle again?
The explosive principle is when you find a contradiction and you malform your logic and you allow for contradictions, and therefore anything can happen. It's free for all. There is no truth at that point because anything could be a truth. It could be proved to be true when the explosive principle. So, I mean, the idea is to not have that, right? There's no contradictions within logic. It doesn't make any sense to have something on and off at the same time. It's like, how would that help you? It can't, can it? For somebody to be confusing you.
But this is interesting because when you debate if mathematics is discovered or not, or if it's invented or not, or if it's already existing in the natural world, in reality, and not just the human mind.
Do you debate that?
Really good questions. No, I don't know.
Wow.
I'm trying to get into knowing,
Well, the one thing when you come to understand when everything came under skeptical attack from people who said just that, like, is there anything that could be true? I mean, I think there's even a section in it, SE, right? Remember in that bit that we need to rewrite?
So,
He does actually say that it came under attack.
Yeah.
And like the geometry is the only thing that remained at the end of it. A set of fundamental truths that can't be denied, right? And they supposedly done at 300 BC. So it's lasted 2.5 centuries. Nobody can fault it.
These guys got their hands on it, yeah.
You can't fault it. So what they had to do was they had to tell you that there's only 5 postulates when there's actually 12 axioms and 3 postulates in the book that I've got. So they only tell you there's 5 of them, right? So they don't bother saying things like things which are equal to the same thing are equal to one another. That's the first one.
And the 5th, they show you a triangle clearly, and they tell you it's a parallel postulate.
Yeah. And when it does,
I didn't get that part actually.
Right. Well, that's the point. The 5th, what they call the 5th postulate, I call the triangle axiom. I'll state it again. If a straight line meet 2 straight lines, so draw 2 straight lines anywhere, and then draw another straight line across it. On the side of the straight line that you've just drawn, where the interior angles of those 2 straight lines are less than 180 degrees, right? On which side of the straight line that is where the triangle will be formed if you extend the straight lines, right?
That's undeniable.
Yeah.
Undeniable.
You can't get around it. Apart from...
I'm really dumb, though. So,
yeah.
But I'm open to understand what you're trying to say here.
Do you get it or not? Because I can put the whiteboard
It
on.
would be better if you could illustrate this to me, like with painting or something, you know.
It'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. Yeah.
Okay. Let me get this up. Oh, George is here as well. Virtual webcam.
But I have to give creds to this Brenda or whatever he was called. He seemed like a reasonable guy, though. So he's not all the way out there, but like
Brenda identifies as a woman, by the way.
Well, that's up to him. That's not my business.
Agreed.
Right. So video. There you go. You guys can see that there, can you now?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh wait, it's a literal whiteboard, man.
Yeah.
Creds.
Oh
okay.
yeah.
All right.
Right. So we're gonna have. Two straight lines. Alright?
Yep.
Just draw two straight lines, you can see them, yeah? And then I draw another straight line.
Sure.
Now, these two sides of this straight line, on whichever side there are less than two right angles there, either here and here, or here and here. Whichever side, this one or this one, has less than two right angles, that's where the triangle will be formed. Right?
Good.
There. So on this side.
Sure.
So that's all that says. I mean, it goes a long-winded way around of saying it, but you can see that that is what it's saying. Now, the one particular place that this wouldn't occur is when you have that.
Sure, yeah.
So that would prove that where this didn't happen, these never meet.
Yeah, obviously.
Okay. Well, what's up with that?
I don't know.
Well, there isn't.
First of all, it's not angled at the same way, you know.
But this relationship of these two lines here is the basis of all of geometry. Right? The fact that the triangle has 180 degrees is a big deal within geometry. The relationship between this and this triangle is basically the foundations of geometry. The moment you start messing about with this and this, you're messing about with reality, right? You literally can't do that. Because you can't say, let's say triangles don't have 180 degrees. Or let's say, if this ever occurs, well, these might meet.
How?
Well, exactly. But that's what happens. That's what Brenda's saying. Brenda's saying, well, just get rid of that axiom. It doesn't fit. And we'll just say there are no parallel lines. But in saying that, what they're saying is triangles can have more or less than 180 degrees, which, I mean, is impossible.
Yeah, it looks impossible, because how are they supposed to meet, you know, first of all?
Yeah. I mean, that's how simple it is.
Yeah, but this is the way you should have explained it to him, too, because this is too obvious, in a way.
Yeah.
It has been done so many times.
You can't explain it.
They don't get it. They will not understand.
I mean, this is the very reason I think they had to get rid of it. Because can you see a problem anywhere? We were talking about it the other day. You've heard of a two-dimensional coordinate system, right? And 2D,
No.
X and Y on a
Yeah,
graph.
I know the 2 dimensions and 2D. Yeah, sure.
All right,
But
so
not the complex word you gave there.
what about another 2D system? Have you heard of latitude and longitude?
Sure, yeah.
Is that a 2D system?
Well, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So, are the lines of latitude and longitude, do they meet perpendicularly?
Well, I don't know. I have to see it. You know, I'm just a dumb regular guy,
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
I'll give you a clue. Yes, they do.
Okay.
Now, because they meet perpendicularly, so they're lines that are meet perpendicularly at right angles.
Yep.
But do they meet?
You're still talking about the parallel thing, right?
I'm talking about, yeah. I'm talking about, in reality, there are lines called longitude and latitude, right? There's also north, south, east, and west.
Yeah.
Now, are they straight lines? North, south, east, and west?
If they are straight lines.
Yeah.
It sounds so in general when you put it like that.
Well, just what do you imagine?
Well, I have to guess it does.
Yeah, north, south, east, and west on a compass, at least,
Yeah.
They are two lines that meet perpendicular, right?
Sure.
Straight lines.
Yeah.
Longitude and latitude, again, they're imagined to be straight lines that meet perpendicularly. You've got northings and eastings in America. They're straight lines, the coordinate system. X and Y graph on a grid, that's a grid system, squares. Yep. You imagine that anything that meets perpendicularly is at right angle, and thing that has 4 right angles is a square, right? That's a shape.
Sure.
Well, this is where it gets difficult, because in reality, that's the way it is, and that's the way Euclidean geometry is. And there's no getting around it, unless you want to...
Is there anything that's been upgraded from that type of geometry since it's so disagreeable with you, or what's going on?
Well, you mean the non-Euclidean geometry?
Well, if that's what it's called.
Yeah, well, they get rid of it. They get rid of the parallel postulate.
Ah, okay.
Which allows them, at least the idea, that you could go, in reality, to the top of a mountain, and then another guy at the top of a mountain 10 miles away, and another guy at another, so there's 3 of us on top of mountains, and I measure the angle between you two, and you measure the angle between us two, and he measures the angle between us, right? So there's 3 angles of a mountaintop, and people imagine that you can do that and get a triangle with more than 180 degrees now. And that's a pretty big problem, I'd say.
But what does it mean? Like if...
It means people's minds have been messed with.
Alright.
Because they can have a concept that triangles can have more than 180 degrees, and that's a fundamental truth. It's an axiom that they've just got rid of. And now it's been replaced with the opposite. You can have more or less. You can actually measure a triangle. I mean, my lad's been told. He came in here and heard it from a guy that was pretending to be a surveyor. That you can actually go out there in reality and measure triangles of more than 180 degrees. In fact, you have to. In reality, you have to measure triangles of more than 180 degrees, they think. Not realising that would break all the trigonometry, Pythagoras. It'd break geometry if it happened in reality, but it's conceptually been done. And that happens when people just decide to get rid of axioms.
Well, axioms are like the fundamentals, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but you agreed. You agreed with Brenda at the beginning.
Yeah, but like it's so simple what he was saying first. Like if you change the axioms, you change the geometry. It's like the same with logic in general. So
yeah, but I mean, geometry is Earth measurement. Like how
can you change the truth?
How can you change that?
By lying, by manipulating them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that you can't do that with reality, can you? Like you're not a wizard. You can't literally make triangles more than 180 degrees. And if Euclidean geometry is based on reality and the logic of reality, then like when you say, well, we'll just change that, it's pretty obvious that you can't actually do that.
Well, in what sense, though? Like, if you have the power to do it, you obviously can.
If you have the power to make triangles have more than 180
change the fundamentals,
degrees,
then you will change the whole.
But you
structure.
can't.
Okay, how about this one? The whole is greater than the parts.
Sure.
How would you change that one?
It's a hard one. I had a brain fart.
It's impossible, bro.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
What about two straight lines cannot enclose a space?
No, I agree.
Well, what are longitude lines?
Two straight lines.
And do they meet and enclose a space?
Yeah.
Well,
in a way.
Oops, you've just got a contradiction there right now. What are you going to do at that point now?
Because I'm viewing it as like a graph, longitude and everything, that they meet from the horizontal to the vertical.
Two straight lines cannot enclose a space. And you've just gone,
no,
oh, well, there's two
them.
that I consider two straight lines and they are enclosing a space.
Yeah, sure.
Oops.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
It's a failure, isn't it? Like it's a logic. The logic has to go. So what do you give up? Do you give up the axiom two straight lines cannot enclose a space for the model, or do you like release the model? You've got a choice. Paraconsistent logic. Reformulate the idea of the conception of what you had of a model, or just release the model. Which I find the easiest way because I've never had the model in the first place, so that's easier for me. But I know it's a lot harder for other people. Just let go of it.
It's hard for me in a way, but when you explain it like you do, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So, but you have to use your whiteboard more because it was so much easier to understand what you were trying to convey.
I will, I do, and people should tell me to get on the whiteboard more. It is hard whenever Rumpus or anybody like that comes around, but I mean, it's handy somebody like you coming round that's open and willing to talk about it and say, oh yeah, I don't understand it. Will you explain it? Yes, easily.
Well, yeah.
I love to.
And it's so much simpler too when you illustrate it like you do, because if you keep talking about the circle and you're just disagreeing with each other and you draw a circle, you cannot do anything else and say, yeah, that's a circle. You know what I mean?
That is another thing, that the triangle having 180 degrees is formulated around that center part of the two right angles. And that occurs within a circle also. All the right angled triangles occur within a circle, and that's how we know sine and cosine. It's dead easy to show, and I'll do it at some point. We'll have to go over that, and I'll do it like a bit.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, a triangle can only have 180 degrees, mainly because of the axiom, the triangle axiom.
Did you have
right?
like different shapes of triangles?
Triangles. The triangle's a triangle with three straight sides.
Yeah. But can't you have like a 182 degree built triangle? You know what I mean?
Have a try. No, you can't. Triangles only have 180 degrees. It's a fundamental.
It's really that fundamental.
Yeah. You try it. I mean, it's...
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just curious, you know.
Yeah.
I have to test the waters.
Yeah,
like I keep saying.
These sort of things are the sort of things that most people don't get, because it is so fundamental. It is so basic that people don't go back to the foundations of the geometry, right? It because you get taught it in shapes at school, you know, you don't really get what Euclidean geometry. It's eye-opening, you know, when you do go back to it and see how well it's formed, how well it's wrote, and how well it activates your brain to start off. How would you start off this, and where would you start off with? But the foundations of the geometry are all around that relationship of the angles. Obviously, the angles form the triangles. The triangles are the sort of shapes that you can make. It's the first shape you make within Euclidean geometry, obviously, to find equals.
Have you seen the geometry that happens when you use frequencies on a metal board with sand or something like that? I don't remember what it's called. Phenomena, but cymatics, yeah.
Yeah, we
really
do a lot of that.
To see how mathematically correct all of these, like how symmetrical these shapes are.
Yeah. Have you heard of a chord?
Like a music chord, like
and
3 notes combined, for example.
And a circle, part of a circle, geometry.
Oh, my bad.
No, same thing. Oh. Literally the same thing. A chord within a circle, geometry, and the relationships of it, of the way it's structured, is within a circle. It's natural. The geometry is nature. Geometry is formed from nature. The Fibonacci is formed within geometry as well.
Fibonacci is basically like you have a square, you half that square, and you half the half, and then you half until you have like the spiral shape or whatever. Is that the Fibonacci sequence?
Yeah, also within a pentagram, right? Within
like the upside down star.
If you make this spiky one, and then there's the one where you join them all around the outside, it's the relationship between the long one that goes across, the diagonals, if you want to call it, and the one that goes around the chord bits around the outside, if you will. That relationship is the same as the squares pattern. It's the same thing. It's all over the place. The geometry of these relationships, that's the fundamental part of the logic. I mean, like, that's what we deal with here. Reality, geometry, logic, all the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so interesting to get into it.
Oh yeah, it's so funny to see that guys keep getting into petty arguments over just the simplest things in a way.
Yeah, but it gives us chance to explain it, right? It's the way that it gets into the petty arguments is because there's people with a model that think we're stupid.
Yeah, and vice versa, right?
No, I don't think they're stupid. I think they're stuck with the model. Their model dictates everything to them. They're governed by what their model tells them to say. I know that people have models in their mind, right? And that model sometimes can really affect people. I call it a model affliction. People have, where the model completely governs the argument that they're going to have about reality.
So you're not having an arrogant standpoint and looking down upon people with the wrong view?
No, I mean, like, well, it's not. There's not a wrong view, is there?
Well, that's the problem with every debate, right and wrong, and everybody's getting heated.
But it's whether you can justify the changes that have had to have been made right now. A lot of people, they're unaware that in order for them to have a model in the first place, it's governed by, shout out Wally, it's governed by the rules that they are given of triangles and angles and relationships and all of that sort of stuff. Well, they know that, right? You know that a triangle, and you use trigonometry, that's governed by a triangle having 180 degrees. I mean, you know that. It's a fundamental. You have to get rid of it to have the model. But a lot of people don't know about the model, right? The model doesn't necessarily mean anything to anyone. Up until the point where you say, wait a minute, you know, you can have triangles with more than 180 degrees. In fact, you have to.
I'm just playing devil's advocate, basically, trying to see if there's any exceptions to the rule you get, you know? And,
within geometry, I'm not pretty sure that there is no exceptions to the rule.
So it's not flexible in any way.
Triangles having more than 180 degrees. Horizontals all being parallel. The relationship of parallel lines. I mean, in reality, is it any different? We've looked.
Am I wrong for assuming that you're claiming that there is only one shape of a triangle?
A triangle?
Yeah, like a triangle. Like in the most fundamental way is three straight lines combined, right?
Yeah.
And they can vary if you want to, right?
Well, you could...
The angles, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I just had to make sure we're not... that I'm not misunderstanding.
The sum of the angles. It's the sum of the angles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, only 180.
Sure.
Nobody can make one more or less, or show you it with one more or less.
Well, geometry is fun, I guess.
They're just basic truths. You know, whether you can justify it to yourself or not, whether you can get around it, that's completely up to you.
Well, I'm a pretty easy, agreeable guy to convince. I just need some illustrations or examples of it. You know, and I'm sold then.
Triangles.
Sure.
Well, that's what you'd have to do that yourself, right? It's up to you to work out a way that you could make a triangle with more than 180 or less. Because that axiom that you've just seen sort of shows you that less than two right angles will make the triangle be formed. Those two lines indefinitely would meet on one side. On either side of the line. It doesn't even state that there would be one case where the triangle wasn't formed. That's up to you to work out.
Okay.
And then that coupled with the fact that all horizontals are parallel.
I feel so silly trying to understand this concept because this is probably one of my most weakest areas.
It's everybody's weakest. There's no problem about it. I knew nothing about this. When somebody challenged me to prove that level is horizontal, I didn't have a clue about any of this stuff. I had a fundamental understanding of surveying because I'd done it in college. You know, I'd done 2 years of building construction.
Nice. Were you an architect or something?
Well, there was a bit of architecture drawing, and you know, it was the full array of everything. Quantity surveying, and concrete as well. That was.
What was that sound, by the way?
What? That was me yawning. Yeah, that was me yawning.
Oh yeah, okay.
The amount of times it's struggling to stay awake. It's that boring.
I'm with you, brother. I'm like, it's half. No, it's 00:24 at night now, and I've been drinking some beers too. So
no.
I don't think
I was meaning
idea.
in college doing the building construction and all the different things that we had to do within it. Some of it was boring and some of it was good, but the surveying was where I had the understanding of it. But when I started in this arena to talk about level is horizontal, I went to try and find, you know, who could I talk to? Let's find out why people don't think level is horizontal. I went to go and ask them. You know, like, if it's not horizontal, what is it? How do you describe it? What's it meant to be? And there's no answer. Nobody's got a clue.
Yeah, it sounds really alien, though.
Yeah. But they just know that it can't be horizontal. Because horizontals are all parallel. And it follows Euclidean, the horizontal and vertical.
Why is it called Euclidean geometry, by the way? Is it like its own specific branch of geometry, or?
It's Euclid's Elements, the book. Now, whoever Euclid was, whether it was some dude or a group of people or whatever. So it's called Euclidean geometry, but it's just geometry. Right? It's the geometry that everybody knows. But
it's so specific, like it's its own category of geometry.
Well, there's no numbers in it. Right?
Okay.
If you're scared of numbers and maths and all of that sort of stuff, Euclidean geometry is just logic formulated with lines and shapes.
Yeah, sure. But it's like if I say psychology, for instance, and I say sports psychology, it sounds like a different branch of psychology.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's the same. Like, I'm drawing parallels from that over to the geometry thing. Is nucleus geometry in the same category like that? Or?
Well, yeah, I'll give you a definition, right? Because this, you know, have you heard of definitions of words in geometry?
If I've heard about it.
Yeah.
Not specifically. No.
Have you heard of an angle?
Of course.
Well, a plane rectilinear angle is the inclination of two straight lines to one another, which meet together, but are not in the same straight line. These are the actual definitions of Euclid he laid out. When a straight line standing on another straight line makes the adjacent angles equal to one another, each of the angles is called a right angle, and the straight line which stands upon the other is called a perpendicular to it. So this is the the meaning of the word perpendicular, wrote in the definitions of the most perfect book ever wrote.
I think I have to research that stuff to get a better understanding. I feel so ignorant trying to understand this right now.
It's like we said, advanced simplicity.
Never use that word again.
That's the book.
No, man. There's nothing called advanced simplicity. It's so contradicting that it hurts.
You wait till you see Euclid and the depths that you'll go to. You'll understand. Sure. You'll understand.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to oversell it, but I mean, yeah, that book is or was the making of me finding it. And, you know, like, in order for me to find the proof that level was horizontal, it's a fundamental truth that you already know. But how do you actually prove it? That's where we've been with the logic. Logos.
So the big problem is proving it.
Well, the proofs are within logic. That is literally how you prove it.
Well, yeah. But it would be interesting to hear how far you could go with this other guy who had the pi symbol as his profile picture. Was it Betty or
Brenda.
What did you call it? Brenda.
Yeah. Brenda thinks it's child abuse to teach your children geometry. Told me that.
Well, depends. If it's forced, then, well, sure, why not? Everything that's forced is abuse. But if it's like the child's own interest to learn about it, why not?
How about saying that Euclidean geometry is just wrong? It's wrong. It's one of the things we've been told here.
Let me take some notes. What did you call it? Euclidean?
Euclid. Euclid.
Okay, gotcha.
Euclid's Elements.
Euclidean geometry is a mathematical system attributed to Alexandrian Greek mathematician Euclid, which he described in his textbook on geometry.
It wasn't one man that did it.
Euclid's method consists in assuming a small set of intuitively appealing axioms and deducing many other propositions, theorems from these. Okay.
Yeah.
This sounds
They
advanced.
probably won't sell it that well. Because they need to get rid of it. They need to undersell it. You see a lot of this non-Euclidean geometry. Can you even imagine that if Euclidean geometry is triangles and squares and, you know, X, Y, Z axis and doing all of that, can you imagine what not that geometry might be?
No.
A geometry that's different than the geometry you know. No, I didn't even have a concept of it until I came into this arena. And then they say they've made up non-Euclidean geometry. And in non-Euclidean geometry, straight lines curve. It's like, sure. But straight lines are straight.
I have to study this a bit so we can have a reasonable conversation about this, because it's overwhelming how complex this sounds, actually. And at the same time, it's simple.
Go on, you want to say it? It's advanced, isn't it? It's advanced.
No, don't. I refuse to use that definition. Advanced simplicity. Never.
Simple yet complex.
Yeah, that sounds more fair.
Simple, but it makes my brain
it's the
hurt.
same thing. So stupid. Fuck, this is a lot.
So, I mean, that's, if you were to measure, right, a curvature, if the argument about anything was about the shape of something, you would have to go to geometry, wouldn't you? How could you solve an argument about shape without involving geometry?
Yeah, that's stupid. You can't.
And then which geometry would you want to use? The geometry of reality or the geometry of this not Euclidean geometry? I mean, would you use not Euclidean geometry to prove Euclidean, or could you use Euclidean geometry to prove not Euclidean?
That part I'm not sure about. But is there a geometry that's not in correspondence with reality?
Like what? Any geometry that's only on the two-dimensional conceptual geometry?
Well, I don't know. I'm asking you, because I have no clue.
Yeah, well...
Because you made it sound like this Euclidean geometry is based on reality, and the others are not, so I'm kind of curious, what's the difference?
Well, once you get into Euclidean geometry and watch it and read it, look at it, it deals with plane geometry, right? 2D. And it gives you all of the rules that occur in the plane to start off with. Triangles, squares, you know, all the different shapes and all of the different rules of that. But at book 11, it comes into solid geometry and reality. You know, it adds the third dimension into it. Length, breadth, height. And then you can deal with the solids. Because up until that point, you're only dealing in 2D. It's conceptual. You're drawing things and, you know, you can make plans. But you're not dealing in the full structure. But once you can deal with the three-dimensional, then you can have an elevation and a plan. And you can sort of put them both together in a three-dimensional concept, right? You can begin to form it more like reality, and then you can start forming. And you realize that everything in reality is 3D, right? So that then becomes the X, Y, and Z axis that you can describe everything by in reality. You've got your three axes. There are only three dimensions, right? There's the X, Y, and Z.
I actually would debate there are more dimensions than only three, though. But
where?
But not rooted in. Wait, that's also hard to say if it's rooted in reality or not. No, because I was watching this weird ass documentary about some quantum physicists saying our reality is in 8 dimensions or some stupid abstract shit.
Well, think about it for yourself. Where would you put the next dimension if you've only got 3?
I have no idea.
There's nowhere to put it. Just in your mind is the only other place you can go. For anything else, there's only 3 dimensions. And there is no 2 dimensions either. That's a conceptual.
It's just like everything above 3D.
Yeah, yeah. And anything below 3D, there is only one reality.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. 3D is reality. Everything else above or below is not. Right?
Yeah, conceptual though. You can do 2D, right? You can draw plans and do drawings on the plane, right? You can represent the other 2 planes on one of the planes.
Sure.
And that's, you know, it's about the best you can do. You can do perspective. You can look through a window and, you know, like draw it. And you can make a representation like you do out of a window on a painting on a 2D. So you can represent that 3D on 2D.
That's true. Yeah. I haven't actually thought about stuff like this.
Yeah. No, that's why I keep saying it. Simple stuff, but gets deep.
Yeah, if you're willing to listen to understand, it's kind of interesting.
Hmm.
And we were having this talk earlier too. It's how important it is to actually listen humbly to understand and ask questions and stuff. And develop a real understanding of what's being told instead of just being right all the time, you know?
Yeah,
the ego thing.
And there's no there's nobody's trying to hide anything from anybody either in this. It's so simple that most of the time you're trying to get people to calm down. Well, when I say calm down, calm the mind, to give it a chance to relax and just sort of, then you can understand the simple complex without trying to get too far ahead.
How rare is it actually to hear people say, I don't know or I don't understand in this Discord?
Oh, it happens all the time.
Okay,
Amongst
good.
us lot talking like this, yeah, all the time. But as soon as you get somebody with the model involved in it, then I don't know, it gets really hard.
Yeah, you could kind of tell when I joined at first. The guy who had like the diagram.
Rumpus.
Yeah, Rumpus, yeah.
Yeah, Rumpus, he comes in always the same.
So how was the night though? Was it a good stream? Funny reactions or?
Yeah, well, we went over the hump and the new moving the geometry. I think we might have a go tomorrow at, seeing as it's Euclid, might have a go at linking some of the stuff and how we actually do measure in reality and how we use parallel horizontals. Might have a go at that, setting that up.
Well, I will happily join and just listen and try to comprehend. Because tomorrow I'm free the whole day.
Yeah. Yeah, tomorrow I think we'll deal with parallels, seeing as that's the thing that they... Yeah, we might go back to that Euclid and go over the triangle. And they go over the axiom. And then the parallels. And then the fact that all horizontals are parallel, which sort of go to prove proves the link to Euclid and that right angle relationship.
Is Euclidean geometry something that's not being taught in schools or something? Is it like this hidden occult concept or?
Yeah, I always said in order to be able to deceive people, you have to be able to take logic away from them. You have to be able to take critical thinking away from people. Otherwise,
the foundation and everything collapses.
You can't fool people, right? You can't fool the critical-minded thinker. You can't fool people that can understand how to logically formulate just, things in order to say, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Because you hear it all the time. There's a lot of people will talk and other people will go, I didn't understand a word he said. And that's because you're not meant to. The guy didn't actually say anything, didn't say anything that made sense. Likely, there's a massive contradiction right in the middle of his sentence. He was just talking that fast that he didn't get a chance to say, wait, because your brain can't process contradictions like that.
It's kind of how I feel when you mention horizontal all the time, because I'm not, how do I say it? I'm not informed, so I don't really understand what you keep talking about when you say the horizontals all the time.
It's a practical thing. You really have to get an understanding of it practically.
Sure. Would you mind helping me tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll have a go and try and explain it tomorrow. Yeah, because I mean that is
in layman terms, at least.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and how the geometry and the reality relate to. Yeah. I'll have a go at doing that tomorrow. Yeah, that sounds good, actually.
Yeah. Fuck it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Ugh, I need to sleep off my beer before heading to work.
Oh, we'll be going for a little bit longer yet. I think it's still not midnight.
Shit, what's the time where you live?
It's 1:45 midnight at the minute.
Yeah, so you're like 1 hour ahead.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Well, I'm in Norway, so
yeah.
I think you're 1 hour ahead. Not wrong. But anyways, have a blast, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, thanks for popping in.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good having forget what was his name? Matt. Yeah, he came in this morning. Have a good chat. He thought we were.
Yeah, it's good to have new people for sure.
Yeah, let's check the chat. See how everybody's doing. Let's see. I think everybody's understanding with us. I don't want to overplay it, but Euclidean geometry, the logic, and reality are so well linked. It's hard to deny it. And I think it's a good enough way for you to sort of base your understanding on. Seems to be serving me well. You know, using that basic fundamental understanding of logic to help us out. There's a lot of people that have said thanks for, you know, like being able to take what this gives you into the rest of the life out there. Yeah, Einstein, who was Einstein? Einstein was just some dude, right? SE. He was everybody's just another dude.
Yep.
And like I say, they like to attribute things to people to put one, so they can have a giant, right? It's got to be a shadow giant, hasn't it? Like, there's no one person that could do that. Euclid didn't do that on his own. That's a group of people. That Euclid isn't a shadow giant. That's a group of people that put that together.
Probably him and his students, yeah.
Probably a group of people that were just sort of getting the fundamentals of things. Like, what can we do? And where can we take this?
Even now, a lot of the papers that are written by these professors, they have all kinds of students helping them do this and that, and, you know, this section, that section. Yeah.
Well, I think it is fundamentals, isn't it? With this sort of stuff, that Brenda keeps coming round, and loads of people keep coming round and saying that I have to prove anything. I don't have to prove anything. This is fundamentals. It's not down to me to prove anything. It's already there. Anybody
prove that
could
we live
check
in
it up
reality
yourself.
in XYZ and 3D. Like, that's the most nonsensical thing I've ever heard.
Mm.
You prove that there's a T, Brenda. You didn't like that, eh? You got all triggered when I asked you that, huh?
What was
yeah, because you know it's nonsense.
What was it? Trying to get me to prove that it's impossible to falsify Euclidean geometry. Prove it. That was a claim, wasn't it, that was put against me?
Is that? Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how do you do that? Surely you have to falsify it. Yeah, the fact that the book still remains, it should be proof enough after 2,500 years that it can't be falsified.
There's no way to falsify that.
I know.
I mean, nature. Just look at nature. The Fibonacci sequence, right? The way a shell is made, the way a beehive is made, the way leaves are formed, and all. I mean, the creator used this stuff. I mean, this is the creator's stuff. It's not Euclid's. You think Euclid made this? No.
Yeah, it's newspeak, isn't it? And the we're in danger of uncovering something that shall be hidden afterwards, to be wiped and changed.
The genius of Euclid, or the group Euclid, let's call them, is that they wrote it down in a systematic, formulated thing of beauty. That's the genius of the group Euclid, let's call them.
Well, hopefully we should be seeing more elevation profiles with bulge humps.
Oh yeah, blue, that was
humps,
yeah.
Bulges. There was a bulge
that was really good.
I think.
Or the devil horns on the globe. That line extending into space, I don't know how many.
Horizontal, vertical plane.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing the things that the model makes you do. I can't do it myself. I just can't do it. Yet I seem to be under attack for not being able... Well, I can... I know what most of the things that must happen. Like Rumpus was expressing today. I know that their model doesn't have a horizontal plane, only at a point. And that point is where it's vertical. So the horizontal plane only exists as being horizontal, where the vertical is. And the vertical is only vertical at that place, at one place, and one place only. Because every other place is different. So the horizontal plane only actually exists as a horizontal plane in spherical form. which is amazing. I can't have that. In that concept in my head, I know it has to exist on the model. The model doesn't have horizontal planes. And if they do, it's bendizontal. But that's the consequence of that, them not actually having horizontal planes. Means you can't have a vertical plane either. So the vertical only ever exists as a line. And it's always different. It's a vertical in every direction. And coupled with that, there is a horizontal at a point that travels with the vertical everywhere. So you're talking about an egocentric coordinate system that travels with you constantly. And you've got no reference system because vertical goes with you everywhere and horizontal is only at a point wherever the vertical is.
Is that clamped or unclamped?
I'm unaware whether the clamping affects the level, the horizontal points, or the real horizontal that is actually a plane in reality. I know there's no tangents because there's obviously no sphere. Oh, I've just come back to me with Rumpus and his coordinate system for a ball with lat and long with the angles. It's like, where are the angles measured? At the centre. How would you do that? Well, yeah, lights in the sky.
You know. We also got from the Rumpus today that before the unclamping, that line is curved. Before that line gets unclamped, it's curved, the surface of the Earth. Oh, nice hat, DP.
Oh. I need a deer stalker. That does look good, that though. I got my t-shirt today. I went with the true horizontal, I think, or true level. Different languages. Oh, I think I could go over some. I could go over some of the comments. I won't be. We should be having a meeting tomorrow. Betty's meant to be coming over with the logic. Maybe it's Euclid. Said I'm going to do the go over differential leveling and maybe the water level. Try and do the two together.
Would be good if you go over the trig, what you said, the sine, the cosine,